Today, Gordon Brown announced how he would save the world. A new central point of contact will be set up by him for people to get advice on whether putting the heating on full and opening all the doors while you eat ice cream in your shorts is good for the environment, or whether you should lag your granny. A new government department will be created. Just what we need. Their first order of business will be to choose some expensive furniture for themselves and see if they can't get their favourite pictures from the National Gallery biked over to stick on their walls. Then there's the essential fact-finding missions to see how other countries go about turning the taps off while they brush their teeth. Just a few hundred people in the entourage, and the good lady wives, of course, while Barbados has some nice hotels. Some good ideas on sustainability, so they might want to start there. But this is serious stuff. The Houses of Parliament itself is considering being powered by hot air and may get its own borehole. Nothing new there, then. But something must be done. Oxygen doesn't grow on trees, and we'll run out of it if we don't mend our ways forthwith. The International Energy Agency says that global emissions are going to be 60% higher in the near future, and our PM has pledged to halve ours by 2050. A feat that will require what he calls a technological revolution in clean energy. Well, with our taste for flat-screen TVs the size of a tennis court and cheap flights to the corner shop, it'll require more than a technological revolution. It'll need a bloomin' miracle. Get wet?
Well, today, yeah, all weekend, actually.
I thought it was an offer.
What? An offer?
Yeah.
What sort of strange clubs do you go to in the night?
No, you wouldn't want to know.
No, I don't think we do, no. Do you remember about a month or so ago, somebody called this show, and I poo-pooed them at the time. Can you believe that?
Did you?
Yeah.
What about?
They said that on the 24th, there was as specific as this, on the 24th of November, there will be a storm. And I said, ha-ha, charade you are. And it looks like, and they rang last week to remind me that they'd said that. You look confused.
Is it,
do you listen to this show?
Is it Elizabeth?
No.
Oh.
No, it's some bloke. He said, about a month or so ago, he pinpointed it down to the very day. He said, on the 24th of November, we'll be hit by a major storm. And I said, or words to that effect. And then he called last week and said, do you remember when I... And I'm like, no. But he did. The 24th of this month, which is Saturday, right?
Okay.
19, 20, 21.
Yeah, too, yeah.
Saturday. Well, this is in the Super Soaraway Express today. Winter blasted the country, and that's the only other use of the word blasted that is allowed. I mean, nobody in common parlance uses it ever, but only when somebody is angry with someone do they blast, or in the context of weather. And only in tabloid newspapers is that word allowed.
Yeah.
Winter blasted the country with snow and freezing temperatures yesterday. Really? Where was snow?
So they could have just said that it snowed yesterday?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's right. And it didn't really. I mean, it rained a bit.
No, I think they had it in the Midlands.
Oh, well, who cares?
You know, I saw on the BBC site, and, you know, the picture of a snowman, of course. Predictable readers.
Well, I wonder if that was an actual snowman created this year, or whether they've been lying to us again, and here's one they made earlier, as in last year. A snowman. Because they've been embroiled in another furious row with the people who are bent on getting the truth at all times. What's his name? The ex-python who whispers a lot.
Griff?
Yeah, one of those. He's not a python at all. He was not the 9 o'clock news.
He's a Smith, isn't he?
A what?
Is it two Smith and Jones? I've no idea what I'm talking about.
Oh,
Carry
good.
on.
Well, please continue.
Ben Nevis.
Yeah, that's the fella, Ben Nevis, yeah. Well, Ben tried to climb a mountain and said that he'd got to the very top, where apparently he had not. He was some distance off it.
125 feet or something.
Yeah,
which
something
is,
like that.
Oh, that's the peak. That's
not
the top.
very peak of the mountain. He's claimed that he was at the very top, as he'd gone as far as he could go, as far as he could go, to paraphrase the musical Oklahoma. I'll just pause while you try and fit that line into the musical. Yeah, he'd gone about as far as he could go. Much like, what's the town that they're talking about in Oklahoma? It's the best number in Oklahoma, and gone about as far as they can go. Ho! Everybody! This is going extremely well so far. Right, what are the issues that we've covered so far? Write them down and we'll come to that later on, all right?
I do, yeah. I'm confused.
Anyway, Griff Rhys Ben Nevis went to the top of some mountain and said, I'm at the very peak, and it took me 3 goes to get here. Look at my tremendous achievement, he said. But apparently he wasn't anywhere near it. He was about 2 miles away, over a rocky ravine, which had been too difficult to traverse just to get that extra 100 feet or so. And people are actually complaining about this. Like half pages in newspapers. He was like about 100 metres off or something like that. Who cares? Just assume that television is lying to you all the time.
Are people really complaining, or is it...
Absolute. Well...
Is it the BBC being frightened again?
Everybody seems to be absolutely paranoid now to be seen to be truthful all the time, but it's show business. You can't be truthful all the time. If you want actual truth, then look out your window. That's truth out there, isn't it?
Boring.
There's a gap you could have driven a bus through.
Yeah.
I pressed the button and I thought, oh. And then about 3 days later, in he pops. But we've really got to get over this, because television it's entertainment. It's not supposed to be truthful. If it was truthful, it would be even duller than it already is.
Plus, it's all editorialised. We know what editing something means. Unless you film something in real time, then you're always going to edit something in or something out.
Yeah. And who cares if, what's his name, that beardy bloke that does the Imagination programme on the BBC, who cares if he's actually doing the interviews? It's kind of comical that he would want to film himself not interviewing somebody just so that he could get his face on the camera. I mean, that's...
Who's this?
Yeah, the second in command at the BBC, whatever his name is. Alan... What's his name?
Yentop?
Alan Yentop,
yeah.
that's right. I mean, it is quite funny that there was an interview with somebody and that he didn't even conduct. He was just... Can you hear that? Scribbling away with a quill. Get a quieter pen. What are you writing with? Hold it up. Hold it up and shame it. It is a quill. It's an ink pen.
Yeah.
Nobody uses those anymore. Oh, please, will you step into the 70s? Get yourself a biro. It's the quiet alternative. Anyway, where was I? Oh, yeah, it's slightly comical that he has such a giant ego that he would want to insert his face into an interview that he didn't even conduct, doing noddy shots. Which is when people nod and pretend that they're listening to what the interviewer is saying, but it's filmed long after the interviewer is gone. Yeah. Anyway, what's that got to do with what we were talking about?
I've no idea.
What were we talking about? The weather.
No,
oh, yeah.
TV editing.
Yeah, Ben Nevis.
You were talking about the weather.
Tried to get to the top of Griff Rhys Jones. And he didn't. And
has anybody scaled the top of Griff Jones, or did people just slightly get to his shoulder
and then give up,
and then claim that they got to the top?
But the press seem to be very exercised about this. But I don't believe that anybody really cares one way or the other. But it's half pages in the national press about he missed the top by a couple of 100 feet. So what? No, nobody watched a program with him in it for factual accuracy. You watch it because for the same reason that you vote for politicians, because you think he's a really nice man, don't you? Anyway, that has nothing to do with what we were talking about. Once again, Helen, you've swerved me off the issues.
Trying to sabotage you.
Yes, with great success. It's 7:15. Travel now with Alan Joyce.
Thanks, Nick. Still looking big problems on the M20 if you're going coastbound. 3 lanes of the motorway are blocked coastbound between junctions 2 and 3.
I'm listening, dear. You can talk to me.
OK, let's have a call about the weather in Bracknell, and it's Jethro Dull.
Yeah, hi. You know, I was inspired to phone you because I've just got back from the library.
Yeah.
And I
look at any books, did you?
Yeah, I did, yeah.
Are you lying about that?
No, I did lie about that. I took a book back and I did some work on the internet.
Oh, the internet, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet
the
you
World Wide Web.
Yes.
Yeah, don't ask too much detail on that one.
Well, I won't ask, you won't tell.
I won't say no, but it was something I could write home to Mummy about, put it that way, but I don't necessarily want to broadcast it to all the listening ears of London.
Yeah, well, stop going on about it then.
Well, I won't talk about it one more moment.
He said, continuing to talk about it.
But it was wet coming back from the library.
Yes.
And cold and damp.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, this is in a weather like this, conditions like this is this time when every good Englishman's got to get back to his terraced workman's cottage and sit down in front of the fire, get his wife to put his slippers on. I think you're allowed to do that. I think you are. Get the pipe, get a good daily newspaper, and get your Cocker Spaniel dog at your feet, and then get... That's right. Bit deeper voice, perhaps. That's a donkey. The donkey stays in the garden, in the shed.
Right, in the garden, yeah.
In the garden, yeah. And then you get your good woman, you say, "Dear wife, please go to the kitchen and get some Scotch pancakes and we'll toast them together by the fire."
No.
No? I think it's blissful. That's bliss. That is almost heavenly bliss, I think.
Yeah, well, if she would say yes, but most likely she would say...
No.
Oh, dear, yeah. Well, they do put the span in their work sometimes, don't they? Because it was almost like, D.H. Lawrence's vision of, what working men used to do. They used to come back out of pit, up the, what's that lift thing that they pulled up by? And then they walked home in the wet and the weather, and then they pushed open the door in middle of rain and wet and wind, and then that's it.
Yes, go on.
And there's
Don't
wife
stop
there,
now.
and you say, "Hello, wife, have you got tea ready for me?" And she's, "Well, we've got tea ready
and
for me."
she'd say,
"No."
Yeah, and then they say no, and you say, "Why'd you say no? Why'd you say no, wife? Why haven't you got tea ready for me?" And she says, "I've just read Germaine Gray's book, and you're just an exploited, nasty, kind of unreconstructed male chauvinist pig."
What?
Yeah.
Huh.
It goes like that. Well, you tried to ruin it. I was going to go with a different image, but you ruined it.
I know. I ruin everything. Sorry about that.
So I think that's a nice thing to do. So especially if you haven't got a lot of money and you can't afford something like, I don't know, going to the opera, and see English National Opera perform.
Oh, the opera.
Boring.
Oh, you're not a cultured man then.
Oh, opera. No one likes opera. Come off it, mate.
Well, all the top knobs go to opera, don't they?
Yeah,
Why
well,
do they go and watch all these Toscaninis and Puccinis and
all those other Toscas? Yeah. I don't know. I would imagine it's because it's there, because it's very expensive, so it marks them out as someone with the money to spare. It's more of a social thing than anything else. And there's the 3 intervals usually, during which they're long enough to sit down and have 3 courses of dinner.
Champagne.
So always with the champagne.
Truffles.
Yeah. Maybe.
What else do they have that's expensive? Like posh food. What other posh food do you have? Oh, canapes. I came across canapes in London. I was an ignorant countryman. I came to London, worked in London for a while, and went to one of these posh do's where people dress up like this. And there's these waiters with silver trays, and they're going around with these things like cheese biscuits and little cut things on top of them. And apparently they're canapes.
Yeah, canapes.
Canapes. And apparently, and I don't know why they don't just have cheese and Japanese cream crackers and just sit down and and some pickled onions. It'd be fine.
Well, canapes used to be a piece of a square of cheese with a piece of pineapple on it, on a little stick. That was in the 70s. Yeah.
Aren't they? Is that cheese and pineapple sticks?
No, that's completely different.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Well, how did they suddenly get this posh terminology where you could throw almost anything onto a cheese biscuit and call it a canapé or a canape?
A canape, yeah. I don't know. What kind of a question is that?
Well, I just thought you might know things like that. What do you do in your spare time? You're meant to be researching for the programme, aren't you?
Oh, yeah, that's what I do, yeah. I never stop researching.
Reading up on everything.
In as much
as
as
we talked about. And the other thing that I'm terribly, terribly upset about is that why has Alistair Darling, the white-haired maestro of the monetary world...
Why has everyone in the cabinet got a funny name, by the way?
Because they're all Scottish. Haven't you worked that one out yet?
It's got nothing to do with it.
It is! They're all from up north. They're further north than Manchester and Liverpool. They're all from beyond they're all, they go home at weekends.
Well, where's Ed Balls from?
Well...
Yes?
He's from up north, isn't he? Because his little whiffy, his little woman, is Yvette Cooper, and they're both from up north.
Right, Ed Balls, Alistair Darling, Jack A. Smith. They've all got funny names.
Yeah, well,
I think it's to take our mind off.
They can't have hyphenated names. If they had something like, I don't know, John St. John Stevens.
Yeah.
Then we'd know that they were Tories, really Tories. So they've got to have kind of common street names so that we can identify with them as people who can understand our economic and social position.
Right. No one who came from a common street environment would still be alive if their family name was Darling.
No, there's a question there, yeah. But he's a Trotskyite. Neil Kinnock described him as, what's that Trotskyite doing in my Labour Party when he was trying to reform the Labour Party back in the 1980s and kick out all the militant tendency. And he didn't manage it with Darling, and Darling's become very accepted now because he's got white hair, he speaks very quietly, almost like a woman, and if I can say that, because it's soft and not harsh and guttural.
Yeah.
And he's as boring can possibly be. But he's nicked 900 quid of my money. I want it back because I want to go on holiday. Can you speak to him?
What? £900 of your money?
Yeah.
In what way?
Well, he's nicked it from me and given it to that bank that's not doing very well at the moment.
Oh, that.
Yeah.
Right, well, keep your wallet open because we'll be needing a bit more.
I know they need a bit more, but then the naughty people from Brussels, the EU, are going to say in February that you can't give them any more money, and we'll say, why not? Then they'll say, because you're not the British government anymore, you're just part of the EU. And I'm terribly disturbed by the whole thing, and I should lose sleep about it tonight.
Well, it's well named. EU.
EU, yeah. And so we can't make major decisions about our own interests in terms of banking, because no one does anything apart from bank nowadays.
Right. What do you do?
Banking all the time.
Right. What do you do, by the way?
I do things that are associated with the banking industry.
You don't do anything, do you?
I exist.
You just moan.
Stop whining.
In the best Descartesian philosophical terms, I exist, therefore I am.
Right, you are what?
I'm a changing, kind of morphing human being like everyone else.
Right.
Anyway, even if I didn't work, you couldn't look down on me in a derogatory way, because we're all equal nowadays.
Sure I could.
Why? How? Justify yourself.
I don't need to justify it.
No, we're meant to be nice to everyone, because we all
me? Have we met?
When? Have we met? I don't know.
I'm supposed to be nice to everyone. Is that what you said? Or,
because we've got to be part of an inclusive society.
Oh, a great big melting pot, big enough to take the world and all it's got. They'll be stirring for 1,000 years or more.
And turn out
coffee-coloured people by the score.
Groovy.
I think that's we'll all be coffee-coloured.
Yeah, I think that would be quite nice.
Mocha?
Yeah, I'd like a mocha right now. A couple of pints of that would go down super fantastically.
Pints?
Well, that's what they sell it in. They sell it in pints, don't they? The coffee part of it is a thimbleful, and then they fill it up with half a cow.
Oh, I don't know. It's more of that cosmopolitan, metropolitan, sophisticated thing.
Yeah.
Coffee, as far as I'm concerned, comes out of a Nescafe jar. You put boiling water on top of it, and then you put you put milk that's virtually gone sour in your fridge in it because you can't be bothered to walk to the shops.
Right, without mentioning your brand names, Nescafe, you say?
Well, it could be other things like
other coffees are available. Yeah.
Kenko, or Sainsbury's Own, or Tesco's Own.
Right. You've just run out, haven't you?
Of what, names of coffee?
Yeah.
You're challenging me.
Well, you went to supermarket own brands. You can only name 2.
Summerfield.
Right. See, again, supermarket own brands.
Well, I only know 2 coffee brands.
I'll give you £10 million if you can name 10 non-supermarket brand coffee products before this buzz. Oh, I'm afraid we're out of time.
I was close.
Better luck next time,
I was close.
And the prize rolls over.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Jethro. Ta-ra. Here is Burton-on-Trent. Oh, Aid.
Oh, Eric, how you doing?
I'm all right, thanks.
Yeah, funny enough, you're talking about coffee. In Germany, I had some coffee at the airport, and it was espresso. You ever had that? That's the biggest rip-off in the world.
Espresso?
Yeah.
What, because you get such a small amount of it?
Yeah, you get it wasn't even a mouthful.
Yeah, but you're not supposed to chug it. You're supposed to sip it like brandy.
I didn't think. I thought it was rubbish. I thought I'd do just like a cup of, branded coffee or.
Right. Well, that's because you're very unsophisticated, Aid. I hope you don't mind that I say that.
There.
But the thing with espresso is, especially the way they serve it in Italy, is that, unlike ordinary coffee, you really know that you're taking drugs.
Yowza.
Because it just gives you such vim and vigour and get up and go. Mm. Or, as they say in the Italian word for that, is Vespa.
Yeah, that was also a scooter, but not something else entirely. But in Germany as well, though, is it a German thing, or is it just sometimes happen to drop on?
What? Espresso? Well, it's an Italian word, but I would say, yeah, it's an Italian thing. But they make better coffee in Germany and Italy and France and most of South America, I would imagine, and everywhere else in the world they make better coffee than we do here, apart from in America, where it's even worse.
Well, I did go to the, big famous one quite a few times, because it was cheap.
What, the famous coffee shop that's on every street corner in this country?
Yeah.
Why anybody, and I'm going to have to go for the news aid, but why anybody would drink a product from that shop twice, I have no idea.
Do it.
Carol, we're going back to Aid, because we didn't discuss the important issue that he wanted to bring up. Aid.
Yeah, very important. Thanks for keeping me on. Very kind of you, sir.
Very kind person.
Yeah, TV channels, particularly one in particular that shows the program called Top Gear.
TV channels, yes, BBC Two, yeah.
Why?
Why, oh, why?
Why? I know you'll probably agree with this. Why do they never keep time? Ever. Especially last night, I missed the end of Top Gear.
Yes.
I'll set the,
every week, yes.
I'll set the PVR over 5 minutes to run over.
Right. I have to add 10 minutes on everything I record automatically, because if there's anything that you record on, particularly BBC Two, they're never on time. Every other channel starts and finishes to the second.
Yeah.
BBC Two is always 10 minutes late. How can that possibly be?
And the commercial ones are always roughly on time.
Yeah, well, exactly. You could literally set your watch by them. But BBC Two is always 10 minutes late. This is regardless of whether it has any live programming during the day. It usually doesn't. So these are programs that they know how long they are. They know ahead of time when they're going to start and when they're going to stop. And yet, for some reason, they're always 10 minutes late. And I'm mystified by that. How can they do that?
Well, they're supposed to know how long they are, but do you think they don't just make they just say, sorry, it's supposed to be an hour, we'll just carry it on for a few extra minutes, who cares?
But these programs are already recorded. They know how long they are. Then they know how long the programs are when they make this schedule. Is it schedule or schedule? Schedule. When they make the schedule up. But for somehow, during the course of the day, maybe it's all of those excellent continuity announcers. Hey, coming up next, BBC Two.
You want to kill them.
All of them, each and every one of them, yeah.
Because, when you look at it, you look at the schedule, whatever it is, and, in the afternoon it'll say, news at 3:13. Like, they're ever that Pacific.
Yes, that's right. It might be, 3:13. Yeah, it might be at 4 or at 5. We don't really know. We'll do it tomorrow, maybe.
Yeah, and another quick thing. Yeah, you was on about it did snow slightly here in the Midlands, but not enough to be on the news. It was pathetic, really.
Yes.
Why is it every time any little thing happens? The news these days, like all our local news, if you've got any snow falling, flakes falling, send them in on your mobile phone. Why?
Yeah, I don't know. Any weather occurrence of any kind seems to not only be treated like a news story, but also seems to grind the country to a halt. The nice man with the traffic news was saying that it's raining outside, with the consequence that the west of London has ground to a halt. Well, are these cars that aren't made to go in outside, or why? I mean, they're only travelling at 20 miles an hour tops anyway. Why would rain slow them down?
Because I've spoke to people who've, sort of probably in the 50s or 60s, and used to drive in the 70s when we used to get real snow. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And cars weren't really too clever in the 70s.
Well, you go to the north of America, and from now on, they'll be up to their eyeballs in snow, and they seem to be able to cope particularly well. But anything at all happens in this country other than mild and dry, and we just close up shop.
We're just weak society.
Well, I suppose so, yeah.
But I know you haven't going to have watched this. I'm just going to ask you a question about Kenny Abbot. You haven't watched it yet?
Not yet, no.
But what station did he work for on the Pirates? It mentioned it briefly, but it didn't. I've been looking at this. Surprisingly enough, there's no thing on Wikipedia about Kenny Everett, which is...
There must be. You must be spelling it wrong. Everett, I think. There must be stuff on Wikipedia about Kenny Everett.
I tried it all on different roads. I've even found a website for Kenny Everett and then copied it and pasted it in, and it said nothing.
Oh, well, I don't believe you. Hey, Helen, try Wikipedia and knock Kenny Everett in there. It's Kenny with two N's and a Y, right? Not an EY. We'll find it. Don't you worry, Aid. Yeah. But I haven't watched it yet. The pirate that he worked for, well, I don't think he was on...
It definitely weren't Caroline.
No, it wasn't Caroline, so it must have been Radio London.
I was going to say it's either London or England.
England?
Radio England.
I never heard of it.
Yeah, that's Radio England.
New to me.
There's millions of movies out there.
No, I've never heard of that one. But no, it must have been Radio London, because he used to do a thing with Dave Cash, didn't he? Kenny and Cash.
Kenny and Cash, yeah.
Yeah, no, but I will, I'll enjoy watching that later on. But anyway, gotta go, Aid.
Okay.
Cheers, mate. Ta-ta.
Bye-bye.
Everett, go ahead and search on that. I bet we find it straight a bloomin' way. There you are. It took us like 2 seconds to find it. And it goes on forever, Aid. You giant dope. Kenny Everett. Everett. Captain Wacky. Here is Wallington. Hello, Joan. Although somebody said that, was it Michael Parkinson? I was just reading about the, sorry, Joan.
That's all right.
I interrupted you and then I carried on speaking. I mean, I introduced you and then carried on talking.
Oh, it was terrible.
I know, but Michael Parkinson said, apparently in connection with this programme, that Kenny Everett was the saddest man he ever met. Not sad as in he's a loser, but just unhappy.
Oh, I wonder how many people are unhappy when they're all bright and chirpy on the media.
On the outside, yeah. On the inside...
On the media.
Unhappy, very unhappy, very, 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 very unhappy.
Yeah. That's probably true, But have you ever tried to talk yourself into being happy by saying I'm happy?
Well, easier than that is, if you are unhappy, and I've said this before on the air, and it's absolutely true, and Helen could try this, she's always unhappy.
Oh. Well, she's probably happy at home. It's like the Bulgarians. When you meet them out, they're all very, very miserable.
Right. Well, all you have to do, Helen, when you're feeling unhappy, 24 hours a day, is put a smile. Put a smile on your face. Just smile. You remember how to smile, don't you?
No.
Now, if you just construct your face into the shape of a smile, your brain thinks, "Oh, I'm smiling. I must be happy about something," and you start to feel happier.
Yeah, but on the other hand, when people see you with a smile on your face, they say, "I'm going to knock that off for a start."
They don't.
Yeah, they do. They think, "What's she happy about then?"
Huh.
Yes, she's been getting up to something, so we better deal with her a bit abruptly.
No, I think that if you do smile, I do notice that people treat you treat you differently. If you smile at people in like a shop or a petrol station or just passing in the street, it's like giving people a little happiness present.
Perhaps a half a smile is the best. When you look as if you're ready to smile, if they start.
What, you show me yours and I'll show you mine?
It's that sort of thing, you know. It makes them think, all right, they're not imposing smile on me, but they're ready to smile, so that might be okay.
Because I've gone through my life with people always telling me, "Oh, cheer up, mate, might never happen."
I used to get that when I was in my teens.
Yeah.
And builders would shout this at me.
Builders?
They said, "Cheer up," but
right, not hello, love, not that. Oh, no. Cheer up, darling. Huh.
And even people going past me in the street, always men, of course, always men.
Yeah.
Yeah, they would say the same.
Men. We discussed me, Alex.
Oh. What was
What?
that then? What did he say?
No, men. Men. As in, me and Alex, we are...
Oh, you're both discussing.
Yeah, we're men.
Yeah,
well...
Therefore.
More or less. Therefore, we discussed me, yeah.
Well, can I tell you about what I was phoning up for now?
But just to put a cap on that,
yes.
It is quite true, because I always walk around with a face like thunder, Because that's just the way my face falls.
Yeah.
I'm not actually angry all the time. I just look it. But on the seldom occasions that something good happens to me, I'll construct a little smile on my face. And the difference in the way that people treat you is remarkable.
Yeah.
And when it happens, I think, oh gosh, I must remember to do that. And then, of course, I forget straight away because it's much easier to let your face hang in sadness than it is to use all of those muscles to smile.
Do you ever find that people treat you differently according to what you wear?
Well, I sort of always wear the same thing.
Oh, well.
Look at me, I am a disgrace. But
in the washing machine, out of the washing machine, on back.
That's right. Washing?
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Sometimes I'll beat the dirt out with a hammer, but,
Well, I must do some washing tonight and get it up on the pulley. You know the pulley?
On the pulley, right.
Yeah. And
you're going out on the pulley.
No, I've got one of those old-fashioned things that you pull up to the ceiling and you wash your hands upon it.
That sounds great.
Well, it's great. Well, if you go to bed, in the morning you come down, it's dry.
Huh.
You haven't had to use any electricity.
Yeah, but dry but stiff, though, right? I mean, if you put it... Yeah, absolutely. If you put it in a dryer, then it comes out lovely and fluffy and soft.
Oh.
But if you hang it off a clothesline, then it feels like cardboard when you put it on.
No. If you put comforty stuff in it, it's all right.
Comforty?
You know, that soft rinse stuff.
Oh, yeah, comforty.
Yeah, and then it's
But
fine.
that's chemicals. That's not helping the planet.
Oh, my goodness, I didn't look to see what was in it.
I wouldn't. I think it's so dangerous they probably don't even put it on the the bottle.
Yeah, global warming. It might be causing a bit of global warming.
Yeah,
it's doing that.
It's not helping, I'm sure.
No.
I mean, what is it about? I mean, those sheets, for instance, you put them in your dryer. How do they soften your clothes? What is it that they're pumping out?
I don't use those.
Right.
Don't trust them.
No.
No, too modern. What's wrong?
Well, anything that makes you happy. Anyway, what was it you called about?
I mean, I was listening to Heather Mills this morning.
Yeah.
And, you know, for years I've heard about the destruction of the rainforest, or because you want to make a lot of paper or something. And I thought, oh, right, you know. But this morning she said they're cutting the forest down to make fields for the cows because we're all eating meat. And we shouldn't be eating meat, we should be vegetarians.
But it's so yummy.
And she said, of course, you know, that the cows make this gas, and so we're causing global warming by eating meat.
Gas?
Methane gas?
Right.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, that's a new one. They're cutting the forest down to make fields. Well, they're not doing it in this country, are they? We've got loads and loads and loads of grassy bits.
Well, that's
with
true.
no cows on them at all.
No, that's true enough because we've farmed that out to other countries. Yes, they're cutting down the rainforest, and if they're not putting up soya and palm oil trees, does palm oil grow on trees? I suppose so.
Well,
yes.
palm trees are trees, aren't they?
Yeah, are they? So palm trees grow on trees? Is that what you're saying?
Palm trees. Well, palm trees are trees, right?
So they're cutting down the forest in order to make palm oil or this the petrol substitute.
Yes.
So they're cutting down the forest, which are that's right. They're cutting down the forest in order to keep us alive, to produce a petrol substitute. But by cutting down the forest, they're killing us all. Makes perfect sense to me.
Well,
anyway, Joan, I'm really sorry, but I've got to go for a break
All right.
now. But
bye-bye.
Okay, cheers, my dear.
Bye-bye.
Ta-ra. LBC. It's 7:46. Here's Travel Now with Alan Joyce.
Thanks, Nick. Not a nice evening if you're heading out and about on the...
Do you mind if I say a few words? Thank you.
But Joan was absolutely right about the meat thing, and we're being told that we can't eat this, and we can't eat that, and don't eat bacon. They came out with just a little while ago. And speaking as a person that has unvegetarianed himself, bacon is just the most yummy. I mean, even when I was a vegetarian, the smell of bacon, it's just fantastic. Beef, on the other hand, the product that is being criticised for ruining the planet because of their the gaseous offshoots is I had some last night. It's the second time I've had beef since I stopped being a hippie, and there's just something about it that doesn't sit well. Pork, fine. Game is good. Chicken is good, if a little Boring! It's just something about chicken. There's just nothing there, is there, really? It's just something to chew that takes on the flavour of what you cook in it. But beef, it seems that, my body is rejecting it. Not physically, but it's telling me that perhaps this is a step too far. It seems to be like the heroin of meats. I'm on about 3 cows a day now, man. I'm just feeling a bit fat at the moment, that's all. It's Elizabeth from Cheddar.
Good evening, Nick.
Good evening, Elizabeth.
How are you?
I'm all right, my dear. How are you?
I'm all right, Taz. So you're not a vegetarian no more, then?
No. How about you?
No, I used to be a vegetarian, but I'm not no more.
Right.
I had a lamb roast yesterday.
Lamb.
It was delicious, that
Yeah.
was.
Poor little baby lamb.
Yeah.
Strangled, just for your enjoyment.
Yeah. I was going to say, I went to the Webington Hotel last night.
To the where now?
The Webington Hotel.
Oh, it's
Somerset.
very good.
I had 2 hours singing there.
Singing?
I imitated Bonnie Tyler.
What, despite the audience's request, you imitated Bonnie Tyler for 2 hours?
No, not only sung one of her songs. It's a heartache.
Right.
And the rest of it was country and western.
What, did you just run into the lobby and start doing it, or did they actually request that you do it?
Well, my brother's a singer, like I said when I first got on the show, because he does like Rat Pack, and I sung with him, see?
Right.
Because I earned 2,000 last night.
£2,000?
Yeah, in 2 hours.
Blimey, what are we doing here, Helen?
I have to give you a bit of my money, won't I, Nick?
That would be nice. So, right.
Are you ready for Christmas, Nick?
Well, hang on a minute. Maybe we should hear some of that excellent voice right now. So what were you singing?
It's a heartache.
It's a heartache.
And you've promised me that you won't cut me off till I sing a little verse of it.
Well, it's completely out of my control. I have no a way of influencing the ticking clock. It comes on of its own accord.
All right.
Right. It's a heartache.
It's a heartache.
Oh, no, we've run out of time on that call. It's a headache. Here is South Norwood, Mr. Lister.
Good evening, Nick.
Philip.
Would you like to drive an underground train?
What, for a living or just
No.
once?
I think I can tell you where you might have a chance, in inverted commas, to drive an underground train.
What do you mean, as a euphemism?
Drive is the one in inverted commas. Well, I'd better explain.
Yes.
Is that the London Transport Museum's reopening this week.
Is it?
Yes.
That sounds fascinating.
Boring! 21 million they spent on it.
How much?
Yeah, it says according to my sources.
21 million?
Yes.
Right.
And they've got to go on a train driving simulator so you could drive the Northern Line, couldn't you?
Right, so they're trying to turn it into Disneyland.
Well, I think it always was. They did have a very primitive, when I went, because as you know, I used to work on public transport, and they had but this one I think is state of the art.
Right.
So you'll be able to go through Camden Town and all these exciting places.
Will you be able to irritate people by making a lot of announcements in an incredibly loud voice?
Mind the gap.
Yeah.
And all them
things. And when people lunge towards a train as the doors are closing and impede the doors for a millisecond, then they turn into Hitler and start shouting.
Yeah.
The amount of times that I've heard drivers shouting at us, their customers, don't obstruct the doors.
Yeah, get out.
Like that.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's, I suppose it's for our own safety.
No, it isn't. They could just be polite.
Be polite! Yeah. Actually, Nick, this set me thinking, and I was looking they did an article in this magazine, not USA Today, I hasten to add, about unusual museums.
Unusual museums?
Yeah.
Right.
There's a dog collar museum in Leeds. Or Leeds Castle, that's Dover, isn't it?
Well, yes, Leeds Castle, that's in, that's down south from here, yes. I've been there.
What's it like?
It's just exactly as you would expect. It's dog collars in cases.
You said they're all some of them encrusted with diamonds, aren't they, or things?
Well, to be honest, it was shut.
Oh, no.
I know, can you believe it? I went all the way there and the dog collar museum was shut.
I'm looking at a picture of a dog here. He's got really one here. It's really amazing. It says that, there's 100 engraved and sculpted dog collars.
Right.
for hunting hounds or domestic pooches.
Right, and if you tie them really tight, it stops them yapping.
In Toronto, Nick, there's a shoe museum, part of shoe museum.
I bet that would be interesting.
I've been past it quite a few times. I've never been in it, so, you know, maybe on my next visit I'll pop in and have a look.
Take a quick peek.
Yeah, see. And in Vermont, and I've been to this place, there is a maple syrup museum.
What?
Yeah, where they explain. Fascinating.
Oh, yeah, right.
It is, honestly. You go into this darkened room,
yeah,
and they show you the film of how, you know...
They lather you all over, and assistants lick it off.
And then you can walk around and see all the different kinds of maple syrup there is, and...
oh, that sounds fascinating.
And, of course, you can buy a sample if you want to.
Right.
There's a serial killer museum.
Oh, I thought you could say a cereals museum. I would like to go to a cereal museum.
That'd be good, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could twin it with the maple syrup museum and have lunch.
A serial killer museum.
A serial killer museum.
In Florence, in Italy.
Right.
So, you know, they got all the people there, I suppose, the famous serial killers, and you can, it says the serial killer museum explores all the gory details and psychology behind many a famous slaying.
Yeah, all your favourite mass murderers, yeah.
There's a lawnmower museum in Southport in Merseyside.
Yeah, my parents have got one of those in their garage.
What, museum?
Museum of broken down implements, yeah.
There's a museum that I've always wanted to go in, but I feel a bit queasy. It's across the road from Guy's Hospital. It's a surgery museum looking at the early days of surgery.
Right.
And I've been past it many times, and I thought, you know, go in there. I think hacksaws and whatever they used in the
well, if you go to Guy's Hospital, chances are that you'll end up in there anyway.
Well, I think I don't know how far back it goes, you know. But what's your favourite museum? I'll tell you what mine is in a minute. But what's your favourite museum if you got one?
The Natural History Museum, because I think it's it's probably the second most fantastic building in London.
Oh, it is. Yeah, I agree with you there.
But you have to be brief. What's yours?
Oh, right, okay. My favourite museum is the museum in Docklands. Have you ever been to that?
Oh, no, that was also shut when I got there, so I had some serious drinking instead.
Yeah, what is good about that, actually, they've got a little bit of because of the history of the docks, the history of the Thames, and they've got a one little item in there, is of when there were pirate radio on the forts in the Thames estuary.
Ah, right.
And they've got recordings, you can press a button and listen to...
Hey, DJ! Hey, listen, I've got to go, Philip.
Okay, Nick, all
Cheers,
the best.
mate, ta-da.
Okay.
This is LBC. London. So as I started off the hour with, and as usual, got blown quickly off course with the weather. Do you remember?
I do.
Winter blasted the country with snow and freezing temperatures yesterday, and more devastating weather is forecast to hit Britain next weekend. And this tallies in with that chap who called us about a month ago and said, note it in your diary, the 24th of November, I specifically remember him saying that, we're going to have a storm. 24th is this Saturday. As areas recover from this winter's first heavy snowfall, it's here, an expert said the icy blast would pave the way for dangerous storms to hit by Friday. Regions could be battered by heavy rain and winds gusting up to 100 miles an hour, said the forecaster Piers. He also warned that conditions would be perfect for tornado development, especially off the south coast, by Friday. Saturday, the 24th.
Wow.
How did he know? Once the ferocious weather has passed by November the 27th, further snow showers can be expected to move in from the north. So, isn't that amazing? You heard it here first.
He probably guessed, didn't he?
Well, to be that specific, the 24th of November, he said, at least a month ahead of time.
That hasn't happened yet, though.
Not yet, no. What's that?
Oh, sorry, that was my phone.
Oh, how very unprofessional.
Terrible.
So, there it is. And the 24th. Isn't it exciting?
No!
Yeah. One thing that I was talking about last week, which I didn't get around to. Can you believe that I would start something on a programme like this and not get around to finishing a thought?
No.
Do I ever finish any thoughts? Was about... Huh?
Probably about 3 months later.
Yes. It was about our nuclear deterrent. Now, this apparently was uncovered by Newsnight reporters on the BBC who had looked at how our nuclear deterrent was secured. And We pretty much feel that we know how nuclear bombs are secured because we see it a lot in the films, and when you see documentaries about the Americans and how they have two men in a silo all the time, and in case one goes loopy, they both have to turn a key to operate the bomb. Right, you're familiar with that. Mm-hmm. I mean, they both had to, on my mark, 3, 2, 1, turn, and then they have the special code that comes in from the President of the United States of America. And I pressed it, and he just wasn't there.
Absolutely.
And, and all of these, all of this obviously necessary security that you would have to go through before you would detonate a bomb. Well, this, I didn't see this in any newspaper, I only saw it on the BBC's website, about a report that they were going to, put on their Newsnight programme, and then it didn't get reported anywhere else. So I'll just go through this. While American and Russian weapons were protected by tamper-proof combination locks, which could only be released if the correct code was transmitted, Britain relied on a simpler technology. You know, we're one of the few countries in the world that actually has this technology. Hopefully. It'll stay that way. Somehow, I doubt it. But, the British military resisted Whitehall proposals to fit bombs with what they call permission action links, PALs, which would prevent them being armed unless the right code was sent. Now, in America, these PALs, permissive action links, were introduced in the 1960s to prevent a mad general or a pilot launching a nuclear war off their own bat, like in the movie Dr. Strangelove. President Kennedy ordered that every American nuclear bomb should be fitted with this permissive action link. The correct code had to be transmitted by the US Chiefs of Staff and dialed into the bomb before it could be armed, otherwise it would not detonate. Very good idea. I mean, it's, of course, right? Cruising missile silos also had dual key arrangements so that one man could not launch Armageddon. Similar safeguards are in place on Russian nuclear weapons, just as you'd expect. They are familiar from numerous Hollywood films such as Broken Arrow, The Peacemaker, and various James Bond films. We've all seen it before. But apparently nobody in the Ministry of Defence had seen any of these films or thought that any sort of safety procedures were important. Papers at the National Archives show that as early as 1966, an attempt was made to impose these security measures on British nuclear weapons. The chief scientific advisor formally advised the Defence Secretary Dennis Healey that Britain needed to install these things on its nuclear weapons to keep them safe. Of course, right? He said the government will need to be certain that any weapons deployed are under some form of ironclad control. I mean, you can't think of anything else that you would need to keep more secure than a nuclear bomb. I mean, does anything exist? Even our gold reserves, well, the ones that we've still got left after Gordon Brown sold them all at the bottom of the market. Very prudent. The Royal Navy argued that officers of the Royal Navy, as the senior service, could be trusted. So they were told that they needed to put security on our bombs, and the Royal Navy said, oh, don't worry about that. We're the Royal Navy. We don't need any of that. They actually said, no, don't bother. And this is the quote, it would be, and I'll have to do the voice, it would be invidious to suggest that senior service officers may, in difficult circumstances, act in defiance of their clear orders. So, in other words, they said that there are no circumstances that they can think of that somebody in the Royal Navy would lose their minds or would want to launch their own personal war, because they're Navy people, and we don't do that. Neither the Navy nor the RAF installed PAL protection on their nuclear weapons. The RAF kept their unsafeguarded bombs at air bases until they were withdrawn in 1998. So, in other words, the security that I'm talking about, that we, the security arrangements for our nuclear warheads remain the same until 1998, and we can now all breathe a sigh of relief that we got away with this one. Do you know how they secured them? Newsnight tracked down a version of a nuclear bomb at a British aero collection in Kemble, and then they filmed the way in which you would detonate a nuclear bomb. A Tornado and earlier V-bomber crews trained with these, which were identical in every way to the live bombs, except this one at this museum doesn't have an actual nuclear warhead. And they had a hexpert there who used to work with them. To arm the weapons, a nuclear bomb, you just open a panel held by 2 screws, which you could do with your fingernail, like the panel on the back of a radio. And if you had bitten your fingernail to the quick, like Gordon Brown, then a simple coin would do. So you unscrew 2 coins, and two screws, take off the panel. Inside are an arming switch and a series of dials, which you can turn with an Allen key to select high yield or low yield, air burst or ground burst. Ooh, it's like a menu. I think I'll have a high yield air burst, please. And low-fat mocha latte. No cream. The bomb is actually armed, so to choose what kind of bomb you want, I had no idea you could select different types of bomb. Isn't that exciting? Depending on how you're feeling that day. So you choose your thing just by switching the little switch there, and then you set it off by inserting a bicycle lock key and turning it through 90 degrees. Kaboom. That's slightly staggering, isn't it? 1998 was the year that they stopped securing our nuclear deterrent in that way. A bicycle lock key. And that no other newspaper, that no news organisation picked up on this is just... I just am staggered, aren't you?
No.
I was aren't you even a little surprised?
Well, this is just, shrug your shoulders and go, oh well.
Yeah. Never mind, mustn't grumble.
Nick, would you cut the red or the blue wire? Do you know what film I'm referring to?
Well, it could be any one of 100.
No, it's not. It's the red or blue wire.
Die Hard 3?
No.
No, okay, it's,
Since as we're talking about bombs and...
The red or the blue wire? Well, Die Hard 3 they had a problem with the red and the but then it turned out it wasn't chemicals that were going to mix together and explode, it was syrup. And they were actually robbing the banks downtown while all the police were running around trying to save schools. Oh dear, I've spoilt it for you.
Here's Philip.
The red and the blue wire.
Philip will know this.
Is it the English Patient?
No.
The English Patient? Oh, that was a great film.
Boring!
Good
It's quite long, isn't it?
But I'm just remembering a bomb using scene.
It's a British film.
Right. Well, it was a wartime film, like, but it was in black and white, so who could tell?
No, it's not black and white. No.
Right, British film, the red or the blue wire. Was it a recent film?
No, it's not. Set in the 70s. 74, I think it is.
74. A British film, red or blue wire. Oh, who's in it?
A very young, handsome Anthony Hopkins. And Richard Harris, and Ian Holm.
Who?
Holmes.
Oh, the robot from Alien.
Him or the borrower. He was a borrower?
Was he?
Yeah.
Did he ever give it back?
Probably not.
Well, was it? It must have been a film about the war, World War II. World War II.
No, it wasn't. I mean, there's elements of references to wars and things like that, because there's lots of bomb experts in it.
Yeah. Professionals.
Professional bomb experts,
right.
yeah.
Not amateur. They don't do it in their spare
they're
time.
Proper.
Right.
Yeah, proper.
I can't think. A British film.
Yeah, it's a cracker. It's every scene is interesting.
Right. I doubt it.
No, it's true.
1972.
Yeah.
A British film in 1972. There were no British films from 1972.
74.
Why, you lie.
No.
No. Oh, 74.
74.
Oh, well, in that case, I've got no idea. Give me the first word.
No.
No.
I can't.
How many words?
No.
How many
No.
words? Just tell me how many words.
Just the one, then.
Just one word?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
How many syllables?
3.
3 syllables. First syllable sounds like... It's a film, 1 word, 3 syllables. Right, okay.
Ask one of these dudes. They might-
No, well, they'll just tell me what the answer is. Act it out like we're doing that silly parlour game. Go on, get up and...
Okay,
dance for me, white girl.
first part.
Yeah. Drink. Beer. Sounds like... Hugging. Hug. Hug. Her. Smaller than a hug. Her. H. H.
No.
G.
No.
Hug.
Oh, it sounds
like hug.
So, but
Ugh.
with the J.
Ugh.
Oh, no.
It sounds like hug, but it's smaller. It's a word that's smaller than hug. Well, that's
this
hug.
is just the first syllable.
Oh, huh.
Not her. No, it's hug. It sounds like hug,
Yeah.
but
Hug.
it's not hug, is it?
Now, are you saying hug or hug?
Oh, was the one you watched last night?
Yeah.
No, I know.
Right, first syllable sounds like hug.
Yeah.
Hug. Tug. Bug. Lug. Fug. I'm going to stop going to the alphabet in case I come across one that's rude. I'm trying to think ahead. I hesitated over the last one I said. It's 8:15. Isn't this exciting? Here's Travel with Amanda Redmond.
Looking at delays head...
Abbott. Well, let's get back to it.
Right, I'm determined to get this. This
Okay.
show will not proceed until I get this. So it's 1 word, 3 syllables. First word sounds like hug.
Do you want another clue?
Yes.
From Philip from South Norwood's just phoned me. Roy Kinnear is in it,
That's not a clue.
and he's fantastic.
Roy Kinnear. Roy Kinnear.
It says-
Oh, the sort of plump guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's set on a ship.
A ship. I've never heard of this film.
I can't do the second syllable, you see.
Titanic.
No.
Is it the Poseidon Adventure?
No.
No, of course not. Stupid.
It starts something that sounds like... How do you say that word?
Hug.
Hug.
Her.
Hug.
Her. So it's her something.
No, it's not her. It sounds like hug.
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 It sounds like hug.
The first syllable of the one word film.
Right, sounds like hug.
Yeah.
Ugh.
No.
Bug.
No.
Doug.
No.
If I go through the alphabet, will I get it?
Yes.
Really? Should I start at the back and work in reverse?
From A.
A, B, C, D, E, F, G, Gug, H, hug. It's a hug.
No.
H, I, J, jug.
Well done.
Jug. Naught.
Correct.
Never heard of it.
Oh.
There's no such a thing.
There is.
Juggernaut.
What?
Oh, it's
I've spent
brilliant.
the last 3 hours trying to guess that, and I've never even heard of it. How can it be set on a ship? It's about a lorry.
No, that's somebody's code name. Is Juggernaut.
Oh well, don't tell me.
Oh. Sorry.
And which wire was it? The blue or the red one?
Well, it's a very famous scene at the end.
Right, I've never heard of it. That very famous scene. It's the very famous scene that no one's ever heard of. Yeah.
Oh. Oh well.
I've got 2 words.
Oh, stop it.
2 syllables. First word.
Thanks.
Yeah. Here is something that I was started to talk about a little while ago about meat. Shock health warnings have not stopped us tucking into our bacon sandwiches, and I'm quite pleased about this, for no other reason that bacon is so yummy. But they're telling us that we can't do this, and you can't eat that, and if you're going to live to be 100... By the way, I know how to live to be 100, because they gave us that information a little while ago. Did you read about that? How to be 100?
How'd you be 100 then?
I'm glad you asked. I'll come to that in a minute. But they warned us about bacon and ham, and I thought, well, you know, there's some things that I'm prepared to give up, but I've only just started eating meat again, having denied myself for 20 years. And bacon, there's no other meat that is I mean, there must be drugs in bacon, because there's just something about it that's just so great.
I think it's salt and fat content.
Well,
isn't
maybe, yeah, but you don't get it from beef, and you don't get it from game or chicken or anything like that. But bacon is just something extra epithelial about it. Bacon and ham are selling as well as ever, just weeks after experts said that eating processed meats causes cancer. And as usual, all the papers were rushing to print that this is true without investigating what they actually mean by this, because they say that it raises the risk of cancer by up to 10%. Now, if your risk of cancer they're talking about here is 0.00001%, increasing that by 10% is insignificant. I mean, you might as well go and gorge yourself. But they don't report that. They just say it increases your risk by 10%. But it might increase it to an infinitesimally small chance. Asda, Morrison's and Summerfield all revealed that sales of processed meat have remained the same, despite the World Cancer Research Fund's damning report. The researchers who examined more than 7,000 studies warn that ham and bacon with added preservatives, as sold in supermarkets, should be avoided. Summerfield said it had seen not the slightest blip in sales. And that did make my heart sore just a little, because it seems that we're being told. I mean, it's like constantly being under the attention of a school teacher. You don't do that, and you don't do that, and shut up and sit up, and usually these things do result in an immediate change of behaviour. The opposite of when some chef, like the Blessed Delia, for instance, mentions blueberries, and suddenly every supermarket in the country sells out of blueberries, or puts the price up by 50%. Asda and Morrison's reported that sales of bacon and ham hit an all-time high earlier this month. We've actually gone out and ate more of them. But probably because, I mean, I haven't had a bacon sandwich probably for 20 years, but since they told us not to eat one, everyone, you see pictures of bacon sandwiches on the front page of the newspapers, right? They're trying to take our bacon away, says the Sun. And if they weren't doing a thing to support our boys, they'd probably be trying to save the British butty.
Yeah.
In fact, they may well be doing just that. Buy a wristband, save a butty. The Daily Express reader, Gary Harries, 32, from Liverpool, dismisses the food warnings. He said bacon, ham, wine, red meat, bread and countless other foodstuffs are allegedly not good for you. All that's left are broccoli, zinc tablets and soya milk. I'll take my chances with a bacon butty and a pint of Guinness. Absolutely right. You know where they get bacon from, by the way? Not really, no. If you want to join in, it's 0845 6060 973. Shall I say it again? 0845 6060 973. There was some talk about the BBC earlier on. We were talking about Griff Rhys-Jones climbing up a mountain, or did he or didn't he?
Yeah.
Well, they're in the middle of a change of life over at the BBC, sacking 2,000 people, and what members of Parliament have been saying is that perhaps they shouldn't do that and cut out some of the rubbish they show us instead. But the BBC seems to be very unwilling to listen to that argument, specifically about BBC Three. A lot of commentators have been saying, what on earth is this rubbish that you're throwing at us from BBC Three? And this was in the paper last week. I've been carrying this around for a little while, but it's the story that's as relevant today as it was last week. The BBC, it says, should have axed unpopular digital channels such as BBC Three instead of making almost 2,000 members of staff redundant, the corporation was told last week. Well, you know what, they could probably do both. Its decision to save the channel while making swinging cuts to its programming budgets was attacked by John Whittingdale, the chairman of the House of Commons Culture, Media and Sports Select Committee. His criticisms come only weeks after Mark Thompson, the BBC's Director General, announced plans to make 1,800 staff redundant in a drive to plug the £2 billion funding gap left by a less-than-expected licence fee settlement. And one thing that he's a man that I can't really stand to watch, but he said quite a prescient thing when he was interviewing the head of the Beeb was Jeremy Paxman. And I think his first question was something like, how can the world's richest media organisation, turn a £3 billion a year guaranteed income into a financial crisis? This is a great question, and unanswerable, really. But somehow they have. The influential committee suggested that to divert public money away from the BBC to commercial broadcasters such as Channel 4 might be a good idea. And you know what? I think he's probably right, because if all of the money for public service broadcasting goes to one organisation, which is being run effectively by one person, perhaps there's some danger there. There's really no argument that you could make about taking some of the money that you give the BBC and just spreading it around a bit, telling Channel 4 or ITV, whoever it might be, Sky even, that we'll give you this money, but you have to make something that's, not stupid, that would be educational and life-enhancing. And then you get a different point of view than you would if you gave all of the money to just the one organisation that is still being run in much the same way now as it was 20, 30 years ago. It's a lot of the same people who are in there. So that is actually quite a good idea. The committee also suggests that the BBC scale back its activities in areas where commercial operators are already active. In other words, cut out the cookery, lifestyle, property and game shows. Absolutely. We don't need them. Under the committee's plans, the new Public Service Content Authority would be established to award public money to commercial channels who undertook to make original, regional and children's programmes. And this is the kind of thing that they're objecting to, this BBC 3. Have you ever watched anything on BBC 3?
No.
Yep. Have you? I can't say that I've watched a single thing on BBC 3. I mean, I look at the schedule every day just to see what's on. I mean, BBC 4, there's often no end of good stuff. At the moment they've got a good series called The Genius of Photography, but I've never watched anything on BBC 3. Is it because I is old and I'm not 12 anymore? What have you watched on BBC 3?
They used to have quite a good nightly news programme at 7.
The news?
Yeah.
Well, the news is available 24 hours a day. There's no end of news channels.
It was quite well made. It was funny. It was almost...
Funny? Oh, funny news.
You know that Jon Stewart show that you like?
Yes.
It's similar-ish to that.
Really?
Well, maybe not quite as well made, but
right.
It was lighter than your average news programme.
And they cancel that for programmes like F Off, I'm a Hairy Woman. That's true. There is a programme called that.
Is there?
Hairy women, dog boot camps and penises were just some of the obscure subjects picked by the BBC 3 controllers for recent documentaries. Shows such as F Off, I'm a Hairy Woman and Sex with Mum and Dad saw critics accuse the channel of plunging to depths of sensationalism that were once the preserved Channel 4. Sex with Mum and Dad? Oh, come on.
What time's F Off, I'm a Hairy Woman on?
BBC 3 has produced few hits of its own and achieved only limited success by showing episodes of several popular series before their terrestrial airings. The documentary F Off, I'm a Hairy Woman, part of a series including F Off, I'm Fat and F Off, I'm Ginger, followed the Muslim comedian Shazia Mirza as she grew all her body hair for 3 months to explore why hairy women are ostracised from society. Oh, we gotta go.
Abbott. Everything is going extremely well.
So the, as I was saying, that last half hour went by really quickly. I thought I had bags of time. BBC 3. Where were we? Oh, yeah.
F Off,
I'm a Hairy Woman. A Muslim comedian grew all of her body hair for 3 months to explore why hairy women are ostracised from society. All of her body hair? Where would it come from? What? Armpits?
Arms? Legs?
Right.
What?
Well, I'm just trying to imagine how a hairy woman would look. I mean, I'm imagining, it's like a circus act, but
right.
It's not bearded. It's not bearded.
No, I don't think so. Maybe a little tash.
The climax involved a catwalk show of hirsute women. My penis and everyone else's promised to explore the relationship between, I don't know if I can say that. Anyway, you can imagine what that programme was like to watch. Excruciating. While Dog Borstal showed trainers attempting to knock badly behaved dogs and their owners into shape at a canine boot camp. Well, I wish they'd come over my way. The seeming obsession with body image continued with the channel's Baby-Faced Bodybuilders, which, as the title suggests, followed a group of teenage bodybuilders. On a similar theme, Can Fat Teens Hunt? Sent 10 dangerously overweight teenagers to spend a month with the Iban tribe in the jungles of Borneo. Oh, I bet they tasted delicious.
This all sounds pretty good so far. I'm going to start setting my my recorder just on BBC Three.
And bashing booze birds screen the antics of binge-drinking women who get into fights. Just gets better and better, Alex. Yet another body image show. The 34-stone teenager looked at Bethany, who, at 5'6", needed to lose at least 20 stone to improve her health.
What?
5'6", 34 stone? She'd be totally round.
She'd be wider than she was tall, I think.
And then I Love Being HIV Plus investigated the bug-chasing phenomenon of people who allegedly want to become infected with the virus. It's just a Victorian freak show, that channel. From what I've read so far, isn't it? It's just, there's no other way of describing it. It's a Victorian freak show.
Are they just making it up because nobody's watching?
Maybe these programmes don't actually exist. They're just putting the titles in the paper because they know that no one's going to see them anyway because no one's tuning in.
Yeah, if you turn on, it's just the test card.
Yeah. Well, don't worry, though, because it only cost £100 million.
What?
Catford. Hello, Trixie.
Can I have £100 million? No, you wouldn't do that, and I did an American accent. Get off, Trixie. What can I say?
I don't know. What can you say?
What can I say? I don't like BBC Three. I like BBC Four because it's got interesting documentaries.
Yeah, it seems like that's exactly what the BBC should be doing. More of that, please.
Now, I haven't, as you know, watched television for a long time, but I think now that I've cleaned out my head of all the crazy stuff that's on television on the terrestrial channels, I think I shall just check up TV guides and then select stuff, you know, anew, completely anew, maybe repeats on other channels or something which I haven't seen before. But
I just seem to watch the same things over and over and over. I launched myself onto The Sopranos.
Yes, I know.
And it's all of them. I'll be watching it, and I think it's going to take the entire winter to watch them all.
Well, the thing is, I don't get very good reception on Channel 5, and or I didn't. But I think I can get Channel 5 now on satellite and things. But I missed out on a lot of CSIs way back over a year ago now. So
I've avoided watching them because there's so very many of them, and I watch too much TV as it is. Unless it's something that's fantastic, I don't want to get sucked into a new series.
I enjoy that kind of thing. So now I've got a whole few series which I have not seen, so I can quite happily go on to these 5 Lives or whatever they're called.
But that's a bit weird, that whole CSI thing. I mean, I understand cop shows, as you'd call them, but CSI isn't that a bit icky?
Well,
want of a better word.
It depends how you look at it. I mean, some people would want
through my fingers.
A beautiful body that's dead. You know, I mean that's the way some people, I guess. Some people behave like that. I don't know. I know it is fascinating from my point of view. I enjoy the biology. I enjoy seeing, well, that happened to that person, but how did it happen? And I like looking down all the possibilities and trying to work out the story for myself.
Wow, it sounds like I'm talking to a potential serial killer myself.
No, you're not, darling.
Right.
Honestly, I promise you.
But then you would say that, wouldn't you?
Of course I would. I'm very good. I'm a very good liar. And hey, you know, I might become manic and start rushing into the studio with an axe. You never know.
Well, security is very lax here.
Oh, good. I always wanted to meet you. No, I am fascinated with biology, and I can sometimes if they say, oh, well, this has happened and this has happened, I say, okay, right, so I know that's happened, and I can piece together certain things. So it's actually being the investigator and seeing how much of it I can piece together myself, and I'm actually quite good at it. And I love seeing the apparatus, or apparatus, as they call it, you know, how they check up fingerprints, how they unravel little bits of crumpled up papers stuck together. I think it's great.
Huh.
And see all the work that goes into it. But the Barry George thing.
The what?
The Barry George thing. He was the chap who was put away for the murder of Jill Dando, and he's now his.
Well, I don't think we can talk about that.
No, we can't. Oh, so sorry.
But anyway,
yes.
Moving quite swiftly along.
Oh dear, yes, swiftly along. Name a subject, and I will see if I can talk about it with you. It's probably you've gone through so many subjects, Nick, since I've been waiting on the line. You know, it's like.
Well, that's the nature of my vein. It's not linear. It's whatever the opposite of linear is. It's,
what is he going to do with all these turkeys? These poor little turkeys that they've slaughtered?
Well, I expect they'll burn them in a large heat. Their little legs will be sticking up, just like cows' legs did when they had to burn all of those.
Well, do you think somebody's going to sort of...
Well, I think you can eat them still, can't you?
Precisely.
You can eat. You don't get bird flu off cooked meats, surely, or eggs. In fact,
you think the price of turkey would come down, wouldn't you?
Because there's a lot of dead birds around. Yeah.
Yes.
No, I think they'll probably have to incinerate them.
Well, that's a pity. You could make turkey sausages and turkey bacon.
Yeah.
In fact.
Turkey bacon.
Yes.
What's that?
You can get turkey bacon and vegetarian bacon, and I wondered if that would come under the parameters of
craziness.
Processed meat.
Vegetarian bacon.
Yeah.
What's that then?
Well, it's sort of.
I mean, if a vegetarian has chosen not to eat meat, why would they want something that looks and tastes like bacon?
Hey, I'm not a vegetarian, and I never have been. But that's you know, they have vegetarian sausages, don't they?
Well, they do, yeah.
So
it doesn't make any sense to me either. But then there's got to be some sort of shape.
Well, I suppose so. But I mean, I remember my third husband's, I've got to work, the third husband's ex-wife liked the occasional sausage, and she was a vegetarian.
No, she wasn't.
Cool. I know, but she still enjoyed the occasional sausage.
Right.
Doesn't mind.
Okay.
There was another reason I called, and you've put me completely off now. Go back over some of the subjects. Have you talked about blonde yet? Helen mentioned blonde.
Blonde?
Blonde, yes. What colour is Helen's hair?
I don't know. What colour would you call that, Helen?
Mousy brown.
Mousy brown.
Mousy brown. Have you ever been blonde, Helen?
No.
No. And you wouldn't consider it?
No.
No.
Stop speaking to her. She's got a mouthful.
Oh, I'm sorry. Don't
She's
tell me
eating.
Sorry.
Anyway, what's that got to do with anything?
Oh, but no, it's been in the news about...
Blondes. Men see blondes, and then they become really stupid.
Really stupid.
Yeah, but I don't believe that. That's ridiculous.
No, it's
absolute
true.
nonsense.
It's absolutely true.
Rubbish. And they're saying that that men become blondes because... well, they don't become blonde. They become stupid when presented with blondes because they perceive blondes to be thick.
Yes.
And then they their minds work in
They don't. They can talk. They think they're talking to somebody who they can bring themselves down because they don't have to try to.
No, they're not trying. It's not a trying thing. Their brains work in. God, I'm stumbling over the words.
All right.
It's your mousy brown hair, Helen, that's doing it to me. They act in accordance with how stupid they think the person that they're talking to is.
Yes.
So if they're talking to someone who's got black hair, then they will perceive that person to be more intelligent than someone who's got blonde hair.
Yes.
And the perception itself will lower your own intelligence. So men become stupider in the presence of blonde people. What absolute rubbish!
Yes, I mean, actually, I found that when I was blonde, or sort of a reddish blonde, I found it quite amusing.
What, men became stupider in your presence?
Yeah, I could make them do anything. That was
well, that's
different. About it. You know, you could say, look, do this, do that, and, you know, I could get them running after doing absolutely
Yeah, but that's
anything.
not an IQ thing. That's, it's not in their heads. That's in their, it's in their pants.
If you're an intelligent blonde, you can make a man do anything.
Right.
But I'm not, blonde now. I'm sort of, a deeper colour. And, I can still do it.
Okay, well, you
Quite awful.
keep practising, Trixie.
Yeah.
Cheers, my dear. I've got to go.
I'm loving the show, by the way.
Thanks a lot.
You take care.
Ta-ra.
Bye.
Oh. Lovely tea, by the way, Helen.
Is it better than last week? Oh, good. Thank God.
Do I want to take that?
We don't know.
Oh. There's been a lot of talk today about the two I'll give you the topics that I've got.
Go on.
And then you say if you want any of them. Speed cameras. They've got a new way of finding us with a new type of speed camera that's much more evil than any that have previously existed. There was an attack on ambulance crews in Wales, and apparently this is very common, and I'm mystified by that. I'll just do that briefly. It's not going to go anywhere, but I mean, it deserves to be known that this sort of thing is happening, and it's quite staggering, really. Ambulance crews. A paramedic suffered facial injuries and a suspected fractured rib, and a technician was treated for shock after they were attacked inside their ambulance. The two men were treating a patient in the Grangetown area of Cardiff shortly before midnight on Saturday when they were set upon. A second ambulance crew had to take them and their patient to the hospital. They were tending a patient in the back of the vehicle when a group of youths boarded the ambulance and assaulted them, set the alarm off and set about them. The councillor for Grangetown said that there had been a problem with antisocial behaviour in the area. I mean, that just defies belief, doesn't it? Oh, what do you do? Oh, me, I'm an ambulance driver. I save lives. Oh, well, we don't want your sort around here. It's just, I mean, you just kind of, no wonder people are leaving in droves. Look at what we've got. It's 8:45. Here's Travel with Amanda Redmond.
Still looking at problems heading away from town.
Nick Abbott. I want to show you something.
Specifically an Apple MacBook. Apple MacBook.
Oh, yeah.
What is it? Apple MacBook. Which is the object of our reverse auction competition, the How Low competition, which ends at 5:30 tomorrow evening. This Apple MacBook is just 1.08 inches thin. It's light enough to take with you anywhere you want to go. It's one of the most stylish laptops on the market. You can stay entertained 24/7, whether you're at home or on the move. It features a 13-inch screen. It's powered by an Intel Core Duo processor. Bing bong, bing bong. And an 80GB hard drive. If you would like this exquisite thing, then put your bid in pence on your mobile phone, text LBC to 88821. For example, if it was 45p, you would text LBC 45 to 88821. Bids cost £1.50 plus your standard network rate. Lines close 5:30 Tuesday, the 20th of November. Tomorrow. Bidders must be over 16. See lbc.co.uk for full terms and conditions. That's the Apple MacBook, the object of our How Low reverse auction competition. The lowest unique bid is what wins it. Did I say it right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Blimey, it's a bit slow on the phones today, boys and girls. 0845 60 60 973. What does everybody pressed their faces to the window, staring out at the rain outside? Oh, no.
A lot of people are depressed, aren't they, at this time of year?
Yes. Sad.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Do you get SAD?
No. I'm not sure. I'm not sure such a thing exists.
Mm.
It's just people moaning.
Stop whining!
I mean, everybody feels like you don't want to go out, but that's just as I was saying on Friday. I mentioned this, but I didn't talk about it at all. It's the staying in is the new going out. And I tried to force myself to go out at the weekend, and I did on Sunday, just because I hadn't seen somebody in a very good long while. But I thought Saturday, because now I don't work on Saturday night. As soon as I'd finished over at the other place playing
rock and roll,
I thought I'll go out Saturday night. That's when everybody goes out, right? But I just couldn't face it because it was cold and it was dark, and the only thing I really wanted to do was sit in and eat pizza and watch TV. And I don't think I'm alone in that. It used to be. It says here. This looks like the Mail, who had a moment's respite from being furious about things. He said, it used to be the night when millions of workers celebrated the start of the weekend in time-honoured fashion by heading to the pub, but almost half the nation now proudly admits to staying in on a Friday, forsaking the allure of a pint and settling down in front of the TV instead. Some 40% of those questioned say they had decided to give up the battle to get served at the bar in favour of a quiet night at home. And I suspect the actual number is much greater than that, because there's something about admitting that you don't want to go out on Friday and Saturday that suggests that you are like a sad social loser, that you don't have any friends, and it's there's something. Good grief! What was that?
Oh, sorry, that was my.
Is that your stomach?
Mm.
You want to eat something, dear?
Mm.
You must be starving to death.
I am.
What did you just eat?
Some chili potato crisps and a stir fry that I made.
Well, no wonder it's complaining.
Oh.
Chili potato crisps.
Mm.
And a stir fry that you made.
I made it, yeah. The stir fry, not the crisps.
How can you make a stir fry here?
At home, brought it in Tupperware.
Oh, right. Cold stir fry.
It's horrible.
Yeah.
That's
Sounds
how I make
horrible.
the crisps.
Congealed
touched it.
goop. Yeah. Anyway, where were we?
I don't go out on a Saturday night.
No.
I don't mind if people say I'm a loser. I don't mind.
Right.
Well, if you go to Friends, does that still count as going out?
Yeah, that's going out.
Is it?
Okay.
Yeah, as long as you're not in.
I thought
you're out.
You have to be going, like, clubbing...
Mental... No, not at all.
Okay.
No, just as long as you're not in your own house, that's out. A quarter of 18 to 34-year-olds, who might seem the most likely to appreciate a wild night out, have been won over by the near infinite number of TV channels that entertain them in their own home, and it shouldn't be assumed that everyone who rejects the idea of going to the pub after work is listening to Wagner on Radio 3 or reading War and Peace. For example, Richard Archer of indie band Hardfi said that his perfect night in would involve 20 Benson and Hedges, a bit of steak from the butcher's, and an early Schwarzenegger film. For now, fag. The poll of more than 1,000 adults was undertaken by ICM to mark the release of a television programme that's been released on DVD that they'd love me to say, but I won't. But I think that's absolutely right, and I think it's more than 40%, because, as I said, it's like asking people, do you take illegal drugs? Well, and then you'll come up with these, only 5% of people take illegal drugs. Well, it could be significantly more than that. It's just that no one wants to admit it, like no one wants to admit that they stay in on Saturday night, because it marks you out. There's something socially unacceptable about that. It marks you out as a loser.
I have found now I've got my weekends back that I feel like the rest of London is out partying if I stay in on a Friday or Saturday. I do feel like I'm missing something.
Yes. And then you go out and then you experience what you are missing, and you think, I'm never going to do this again, right? London Colney. Oh, Mandy.
Oh, Nick.
Oh, Mandy, he says, stalling for time. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, how are you?
I am super, thanks for asking.
Good. I didn't go out Saturday night either.
No, good for you.
It's too cold.
It's cold, and it's
wet,
dark, and it's expensive.
It's lashing down at the moment here.
I thought, I'll go and have a cocktail. I met a friend, and I thought, well, let's go and have a cocktail. I haven't had a cocktail in absolutely years.
Yeah.
And as soon as the bill came, I realised why.
Yeah.
Can you believe a cocktail could be so much money? You could buy a house for the price of a round.
I was surfing Sky, as you do, and I was watching the Biography channel, and they did Barry Manilow.
Barely man enough.
Yeah, and it started off with him singing Mandy.
Right.
And how he came to change it from Brandy to Mandy. And if it wasn't for that song, that's what made him famous, that song. It was an interesting biography. You should watch it if you can.
Okay, I absolutely won't do that.
I know you won't. And I found this channel Dave.
Dave, yeah, what is that? What did it used to be? It used to be UK Gold or something?
I don't know, but it's channel 111.
Dave. Why would they call a channel Dave?
I haven't got a clue, but it's got some good stuff on it.
Right.
You can have, like, 4 episodes of Seinfeld and...
Oh, Seinfeld. Seinfeld, let me clear this up so that there is no confusion. Seinfeld isn't funny. At all.
Oh. I don't watch it, I don't know.
I've tried several times to watch Seinfeld.
I thought you liked it.
No, and I've always ended 30 minutes later in utter glum silence. Not even a smile.
I don't know why I thought you liked it.
Well, not me, no, but the entirety of America was hooked on this like no programme before or since, and I just don't get it. I can't see it at all.
Really? But I don't... Do you watch Ugly Betty?
No.
No, you see, I can't see that either.
Well, that's a women's thing. I tried to watch, The Devil Wears Prada. That was one of the new movies on Sky the other night.
Yeah.
And that's about the most women's thing I've ever seen in my life. I lasted 5 minutes. I thought, no way.
Really?
There must be a Schwarzenegger movie on the other side.
And you found one?
Well, I've always got them on tape.
Yeah. What, on your Sky Plus?
Yeah.
Yeah. My Sky Plus is getting full.
Yeah, that's the problem. That's how they...
I'm now starting deleting stuff that I haven't watched.
Right.
Not really very good when you're paying for it, is it?
Well, let's not discuss that too deeply.
No, okay. But you had a good weekend, and I found you on Rock and Roll!
Yeah, there I am over there, working every day. Don't worry about me.
I know, I found you on Sunday. I was so excited. Or was it Saturday? I can't remember.
Both days?
You played Supertramp. I know that.
Probably.
It was good.
Yeah, good. I'm glad
nice
you
to
enjoyed
hear
it. Yeah. Anyway, I'm past a break. I'm being shouted at. But thanks a lot, Mandy.
Take care.
Cheers, my dear.
Bye, darling.
LBC.
Hi, honey. How are you?
Hi, honey. How are you? Hey, the Scouts. Were you a Scout, Alex? Did you ever dib?
I think I went once. The Scout hut was literally round the corner from my house.
Right, so no excuses.
Yeah, and I think my mum let me go once, and then that was it for some reason.
Right, but didn't like it?
No.
Too militaristic?
Well, maybe I cried or something, and they just sent me home, probably.
Scouts will soon be able to earn a healthy eating badge as part of a drive to tackle childhood obesity. The badge has been developed so that the 50,000 Beaver Scouts, aged between 6 and 8, can show that they have learnt to choose fruit and vegetables instead of snacks full of sugar, salt and fat. Well, that's pathetic. I thought that the whole point of the Scouts was, yomping over fields and tying knots and making fires and stuff.
Well, I guess they can't yomp because they're too fat.
Children will receive a basic grounding in preparing fresh fruit and vegetables and improving their diets. You're going to get a badge for eating sprouts.
Ugh.
This course is being developed by the Eat in Colour campaign and will be launched in February. Its website will provide recipes, games and homework activities for the youngsters. The spokesman said to earn the badge, the children will have to produce a fruit salad, create a healthy snack and show a basic knowledge of healthy foods. There's going to be games for the youngsters. Right, I've got a game for you. You sit down and shut up and you don't move until you've eaten your cabbage. How'd you like that for a game? Oh, it were grand when I were a lad.
Abbott.
No one is ever safe on this hostile planet.
Eggs followed by lobster. Or rather, that was the first course. Eggs and lobster. What kind of dish is that? That sounds horrible. Eggs and lobster. What, like a lobster omelette? Not to start with, surely. Those royal people are crazy. So egg and lobster, and what was the middle one? What were they having? Oh yeah, the Woody Woodpecker. They were going to eat game that Harry had shot down. Hawks or whatever it was that the blasted out of the air, and then pudding, which was ice cream or something. Ooh, so yummy. But I'm mystified by that first course. Eggs and lobster as a first course.
It's probably poached egg, isn't it?
Poached egg. As a first course.
Kind of, those sloppy, fat poached eggs, which are barely cooked.
Yeah.
And then when you cut into it, it'll kind of, all the yolk will run over.
Very dangerous.
Over the, other bits.
It is very dangerous.
What is?
Runny eggs. I mean, I like my eggs. Yeah, I like my eggs runny. But apparently now, because of global warming or the flu outbreak or something like that, you must cook your eggs until it's solidified. Oh, you're sneezing. Now, you just did a very bad thing there. Do you know what you did wrong?
Pardon?
Do you know what you did wrong?
What?
You sneezed into your hands.
Oh, can I come in and shake your hand?
No. And I have, there's an article about that I would like to share with you.
What should I have done then?
Well, I'll tell you. Shut up for a moment.
Sprayed it all over the room.
Alright.
Alright, well, write that down, and I'll come back to that in a minute, because this is very important. We're all going to die if people like you keep sneezing into your hands. And then grabbing... What are you eating now?
Crisps.
And then grabbing hold of the tube. This is why, whenever you grab hold of one of those poles on the tube, it's all greasy.
I don't. I try
hate
not
that.
to.
And it's because people like you sneeze into their hands and then grab the pole.
I don't grab the pole.
I've started thinking about that now.
Yeah.
Like, I was on the tube the other day and I went to grab the overhead pole thing, and then I stopped myself. I decided to prop myself up against a tourist instead.
Are you one of those people that doesn't hang on? And so you careen around the carriage as soon as we go around
like
a corner.
A drunk lush.
Here is Banstead. Charlotte.
Hello, Nick.
Charlotte.
How are you?
I'm all right, thanks. How are you?
I've just got in, actually, and the weather's terrible out there.
Awful, yeah.
Actually awful.
And it's going to get worse, I'm afraid.
Yeah, it's actually pouring. Still going to get nice and wet.
Yes.
10 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to talk about newspapers, actually.
Yeah.
I used to buy the tabloids, The Sun and The Mirror, but now I'm buying the Times.
Right.
I think they're just, it's a waste of money. I can't just bear to keep hearing about Kate Moss and Pete Doherty and all
Kate Moss was out the other night again.
And
She
all
was
the
out at another
celebrities.
party again. Is this the same Kate Moss who has a 5-year-old child at home? Out
yeah,
again?
I just can't bear it. You just buy the paper and it's rubbish.
Yes.
It's rubbish.
Well, I think there's a big difference between the Sun and the Mirror. The Sun, the Mirror seems to be very partisan about almost everything that they write about, to the point that it gets a bit silly, really. I mean, they're not prepared to change their opinion on anything, whereas the Sun will change their opinion on which political party they're going to support, dependent on who they think is going to win. So they'll just back the winner.
I don't want to hear about celebrities anymore. They're all boring.
I bet you do. I bet you
No,
can't.
I don't.
I bet you won't be able to help yourself.
No, I don't. I don't want to know.
Hey, do you hear what?
I'm buying the Times.
Right. Do you hear what Kylie did the other day?
No.
See, you're interested.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not.
I've got no idea what she did the other day.
No.
Who cares?
No, I mean, it's more educational, the Times.
Right. I prefer the Telegraph for the initials for two reasons. Initially and simply, first of all, it's the right shape. There's just something about a tabloid shape that doesn't sit well with me with a quality paper. It just doesn't look right to me.
You get the travel brochures on there, and you get other things.
And then
they had the Tutankhamun things on there.
Oh yeah, Tutankhamun. That looks fascinating, doesn't it?
It's interesting. I'm going to have a look. I'm going to see them.
Don't do it. Unless they're advertising with us, in which case you should go straight away. Buy two tickets.
Yeah. But it's good. I find it very educational.
And then the crossword on the back. I actually completed the entirety of the prize crossword on the back page of the Telegraph on Saturday. I sent it off, and I'm going to win a pen. I just know I will.
I don't want to hear about all the celebrities. I find they're... And I don't like... what's the one with Simon Cowell? I don't watch the celebrity things.
No, I've weaned myself off those silly programs, as I think.
I don't watch them.
Good for you. Well, I think that if we continue, how's the audience figures going for that silly jungle show now? How are they doing?
I haven't watched that.
Because they started at 8 million and they lost 2 million on the second show. I hope it's a precipitous descent downwards.
Yeah.
If we stopped watching as a nation, we decided that we did. Hell no, we won't go. We can't, we're mad as hell and we can't take it anymore, then believe me, they'll stop making them straight away.
What's the one on Saturday with Simon Cowell?
X Factor.
I can't remember it. X Factor.
Yeah.
Oh, no. I don't watch any of them.
Well, good for you. You've weaned yourself off rubbish. Like me, I'm trying to do just that.
Yeah, I'm trying to be more educational. Educated.
Well, I wouldn't go that far with myself, but I wouldn't say that of myself. But I'm trying to be less stupid.
Yeah. Can I say hello to Trixie?
No.
Please? No.
No, I'm afraid that's
I heard her earlier when I got in.
Right.
Oh, yes.
I'd love to be able to allow that, but I'm afraid not. No.
Okay.
But thanks anyway, Charlotte.
Okay.
Cheers, my dear.
Bye-bye.
Ta-ra.
Bye.
Here is Chislehurst. Hello, Rob.
Hello, how you doing?
Good, thanks.
Saturday nights and Friday nights, I used to be out without fail.
Yeah.
I can't face it anymore. I've got to get a cab to a decent pub from where I live. You can't get a cab. You can't have a fag, because unfortunately I do smoke.
Right.
And then, you know, at 11:30, you're all battling for a cab back again. I've given up on the idea.
How old are you?
I don't. 43.
Right. I think there's a period after which you don't expect to get sex anymore, that you think, I can't be bothered going out, because it's a hunt, right?
Well, I think you're right. I actually think you're right there. That's, regardless of your marital status, that's what it's about, isn't it?
It's about getting a whether or not you go whether or not you go through with it or not. It's putting yourself out there on the market and seeing what the market's reaction is. and after a while, you can't think of divesting yourself of your vest in front of anyone.
No.
With the lights on.
You've summed it up superbly. But no, Friday night, you know, I used to race home Friday nights, get ready, and I, you know, did it until about the summer. And then, I don't know whether it's because, you know, there's a lot of work on, whatever reason, it just does not have the same appeal anymore.
Every time I'm out, there's always the voice in the back of my mind which says, actually, I'd rather be at home with a pizza watching The Sopranos. And I don't think nothing beats that.
Well, I think you're right. I've moved it, actually. I do occasionally pop out on a Sunday lunchtime now. But you can't have that many, because obviously you don't want to ruin your Sunday afternoon, but if you got stuff to do. But it really is a joke. And one other point, you know that lady who was just on, who stopped reading The Sun or whatever it was, got into the Times? I did the same as that a couple of years ago when it went to the smaller format.
Right.
The tabloid format. Used to read the Daily Mail for years and years and years. Hated it because it was all for women, in my opinion. And
it's an odd one, that, because there seems to be written much of it for women, yet they don't seem to like women very much.
No, that's true.
Odd one.
And I started buying the Times when it went into the tabloid format, and you've got to give yourself a month with a newspaper.
Yeah.
Just to get into it, because
right.
you're used to your own paper where you know everything is, and you've got to get past that. And I must admit, I salute that lady, because it is so much better, and there isn't, you know, celebrity, whatever, rubbish.
There is life outside of Simon Cowell and his money-making machine.
Yeah, I think you're right there. But, no, I think she's made the right choice there.
Right. Okay, well,
all right, mate.
Keep on keeping in. Thanks, Rob.
Certainly try. Bye-bye.
Ta-ra. Yeah, it's, and it's, I think it's going to get worse, because there's an entire generation growing up who aren't interested in leaving their bedrooms, let alone about leaving the house, because their entire lives, the whole of the world, is brought flickering in front of their face by their pewters. And not only is all their information gleaned from the screen, it's like watching television with, but you lean forward rather than leaning back. Lean back to watch TV, no thought required. It just washes over you. My favourite. But kids have deserted television for the computer screens, which is is exactly the same. You're still watching television, really, aren't you? Same thing. But not only are they getting all their information, their entertainment, but they're communicating with the world through their screens. I think it's just typing. But they think that they've got, 1,000 friends on their MySpace Facebook. page.
Which they have.
No, they don't.
No, they do.
No, they don't. They don't know any of those people.
But they're real people.
Right, but they're not they're not interacting with them.
They're
just no, they're not. They're just typing. They are. They're just typing. And so our generation actually had the experience of going out and, actually, you remember talking to people, don't you? Actual people, face to face. And we can't be bothered to go out. So what's it going to be like for the generation that's grown up who don't go out in the first place? They won't know that they're not missing anything by staying in. I've tied myself up into a knot there.
I thought we were a nation of binge drinkers, though, so people are going out, aren't they?
Right.
Just not us.
I suppose so, yeah. And that's one of the reasons why I don't want to.
No.
Because then you have to go and deal with those people.
Yeah.
It's 9:16. Here's Travel Now with Amanda Redmond.
Thanks very much. Looking at
Abbott.
I really like you. Do you like me?
Peckham. Hello, John.
Hello, Nick. Great show as usual. Friend of mine, 38 years of age, born in London, wants to move out of London, like most sensible people.
Yeah.
Wants to go to the East Coast, but he was at Suffolk Way just before Great Yarmouth 2 days ago, and talked to 2 or 3 fishermen. They said, don't buy anything within, like, 5 or 6 miles of the coast, because it's going to be flooded in within 3 years. I mean, that sounds incredible. Or you heard anything of it? Anything like that?
Well, yeah. They're saying that the coast, as it exists now, will Chelmsford will be a seaside town before the end of the year.
Good grief.
Well, no, I'm sure they're not saying that, but
no, but these fishermen, there's a few fishermen that are saying it's definitely going to be from Norfolk down to Suffolk, Essex, or even going along to Kent, all that east coast is going to be floods very soon.
Huh.
It sounds a bit of prophet of doom here.
How do they know, though? Well, they saw it on TV.
I think there was a warning a week or so ago. I can vaguely remember. Funny enough, there was a big warning that there might have been a monster sort of a tide was going towards eastern England. I think there's some sort of a miniature tsunami that died down when it reached there.
Well, that's right. The news was full of it. We're doomed, they say, and here's a man that's standing on the sea edge, and what's the latest? Well, there is no latest. It's exactly the same as it was 12 hours ago when you asked me that question last. Nothing happened.
The only thing is, something did happen there, I think, in the 1950s, I think, Canvey Island, Essex.
Yeah, I remember that. Well, I don't remember that, but we talked about that a week or so ago, somebody that was there.
People died.
Yeah.
One last thing regarding populace. Floods and or heat waves, they're supposed to be coming soon. I hate to say this word, but it's never mentioned. Famine. I mean, is that too severe a word, or why don't we get our fingers out a bit and start thinking about the word famine? Because floods and heat waves will affect, and this little country, that's almost sinking with the weight of people. Am I making sense in any way? Because the government...
Well, John, if you're ever feeling a little peckish, just nip down to Sainsbury's.
But the government, one thing, the government will never tell us, will they? They'll tell us nothing. If they know what's roughly going or maybe going to happen. But
no, they don't. They don't know anything. Just like everybody else, we've got no idea what's going to happen.
No. So why are all these fishermen on the East Coast all saying that within the next 3 or 4 years going to be really bad, life-threatening floods?
I don't know. Maybe they just don't want outsiders coming in to raise the house prices.
Again, I don't want to be doom-laden in my talk, but...
Yes, you do.
No, seriously. If the London floods, I mean, that would be a catastrophic regarding the Olympics, wouldn't it? Would that be a good thing? I suppose the bottom line is, to tell the truth, I mean, I'm against all this building housing flats almost daily all over London, but I don't know. It's just strange that these people are saying the old East Coast within the 3 or 4 years. And the government are saying 30, 40 years. Fishermen are saying 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, well, neither of them has any idea what's going to happen in the next 5 minutes. So, but I wouldn't buy property in Southend Principally because if you did, you'd be living in Southend. But anyway, thanks a lot, John.
Thank you.
Cheers, mate. Ta-ra. Yes, there's this whole new thing about going green now, because the some international body, who was it, the United Nations, have just released a report that says we're all going to be up to our eyeballs in water, and there won't be nary a drop to drink. And so, as I said at the beginning of the programme, Gordon Brown has decided to save the world. And now homeowners will be able to order green audits of their houses so that they can see how much more energy they could be saving under plans to be unveiled by the government today. The new Green Homes service will also help householders to cut down on their rubbish. Ministers are anxious to make it easier for consumers who are confused about the numerous green initiatives being pushed both locally and nationally, so they will also set up a new central point of contact. In other words, another Quango. Like we need another one of them. But this sounds like tinkering to me. I mean, why do people need a government body to tell them to close their windows and turn their heating down a bit? I mean, we all know all this stuff, right? Turn the tap off when you're brushing your teeth. We know all of this. Beyond these small measures, beyond changing a light bulb here and there for one of those horrible ones that glow a sort of cold bluey light, we're not prepared to go. All right, we'll lag the loft because that might save us money in the long term, but we're not going to put solar panels up because they had to be up there for 100 years to make money back on that.
Oh, did you see Damien Hirst put solar power?
Oh, shut up.
I don't like him.
Damien Hirst? I can't stand Damien Hirst.
He's put his solar panels up.
He was going to buy that place. I was looking to buy somewhere opposite where he was going to put his studio. He was buying a place near Waterloo on the south bank, right next to a railway line. I mean, inches from a railway line. And he was going to put his studio there and a swimming pool on the top and all that sort of stuff. Did he actually do that?
I don't think he did.
It was this deserted wasteland of a place. But I just... because, you know, looking for land in London is virtually impossible. But there was this corner plot. It was triangular. And I thought, ooh, how very exciting. That's very cheap. I'll go down and have a peek at that. And the reason why it was cheap is because you could literally put your hand out the window and touch the railways, the railway line, as the trains thundered by. But as you're as an artiste, of course, you don't care about noise, I wouldn't imagine, because I would guess that he doesn't show up a lot anyway, just phones it in. I'll tell you what, mate, do us a large version of one of those blind, you know, the blind coin boxes that they used to have outside newsagents in the 70s. Do you remember those things?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just make one of them out of metal, like 20 foot high, and that'll be £1 million, please.
I've lived next to a railway line. It's quite nice.
Well, yes and no. There's something quite romantic about railways, but I don't think... I think it's more a collective memory of romance that we may or may not have actually lived through. It's like the Railway Children type of thing. It's a hangover from steam trains with the sun glinting on the rails as they recede into the distance. But modern trains, there's just nothing romantic about them.
You do get used to the noise, though. It is amazing how quickly you can cut that sound off, you know.
Yeah. Noises that are predictable are relatively easy to ignore. Like traffic. You only, if you live next to a road, you only notice the traffic really when it stops in the middle of the night. Silence descends, and then it's interrupted by a single car, and then you hear that. But just the drone, the everyday drone of traffic, you kind of you block that out. Train lines, similarly. But the one thing that you can't block out, because you can never predict it coming and surprises you every time, is that. Can't stand them.
As I said that, I was sorry I mentioned it, really, because I knew the yapping dog was coming.
Yes.
I had my Tweety bird again this morning.
A Tweety bird? Oh.
That was nice.
Well, Tweety birds are much nicer than yappy dogs, because Tweety birds, there's a reason for them tweeting. They're marking out their territory, they're trying to get together with other hot birds for a little hot bird action. Yappy dogs, on the other hand, what are they yapping at? Their own feet. On and on and on and on and on and on they go.
They're just excited to be a yappy dog.
Can't they just shut up about it? As an owner, walking the dog, yap, 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 yap. I mean, you'd want to put an end to it, wouldn't you? Give it away. Give them to the Battersea Dogs Home. They know what to do with strays. I know it's something that I revisit, but, as I've said before, I'm woken up every morning by a furry alarm clock. And my first thought of every day is, I'd like to shoot that dog.
I can imagine.
Which is not a healthy way to start the day, is it?
It's not PM. No, it's not positive mental attitude, is it?
Exactly right. You wake up furious every day. No wonder I'm on a kaleidoscope of pills.
Did you buy the little plot of triangular land?
No, because it was because Damien Hirst was supposed to be moving in over the road, and I didn't want to be around what might be an abattoir.
Yeah.
Blood running into the gutters outside.
And lots of flies hanging about.
Yeah, and plus, I mean, you can screen out some railway noise, but this would be like living on the actual railway if it was that close. And you wouldn't want to go outside your front door without an armed guard. Terrible area.
Oh, right.
I used to live quite near to a freight freight railway line in America.
Ah.
And in the middle of the night, you get... Well, and it made me want to run out of my bed and run out of the flat and jump in a boxcar like a hobo.
Right. Well, there's something very romantic about American railway lines. That two-note horn being among them, because in so many films that's been the backdrop. That noise is a backdrop to so many movies, and because it's America,
noise.
Yeah, exactly. And because it's America, we think of it in more romantic terms. I mean, you wouldn't want to have a song about the M1, but you're happy to get down and boogie to Route 66. And so there is something more, there's a romance steeped through Americana because of our relationship to it in the movies, but not so much British Rail. Not quite so much that. No.
Point 3.
0845 6060 973.
Nick Abbott.
Okie dokie.
To continue this thing about Gordon Brown saving the planet, he said after this research came out that basically said that we're doomed unless we do something, and they don't really know, they're just making it up. But there's been a whole head of steam behind these the doom merchants because there's a lot of money in it. The International Energy Agency report warns that on current trends, future world energy demand is set to be 50% higher and global emissions 60% higher than today. And this is with the backdrop that they're saying that it's got to be much, much lower. But it was actually going to get much, much worse. And the Prime Minister is going to point out that having global emissions by halving global emissions by 2050 will require a technological revolution in clean energy. It's just not going to happen. The drive to make traditional houses greener will concentrate on getting more information to homeowners about the scale of their own energy saving and the possibilities of fining you for not doing anything. No, that's not what it says. It says the possibilities for improvement. But I think the subtext there is, another opportunity for green fines, which are very difficult to argue against, because if you argue against being fined for not being green, then it's like arguing against the survival of all the babies in the world. Consumers will also be put in touch with companies which offer discounts on energy-saving products and given advice on green travel, which no one is interested in, by the way, green travel. I mean, the big problem that we've got with all of this is nobody wants to be put out. Nobody wants to have to make an effort. We want to continue doing exactly what we're doing and have somebody else fix it for us. But unfortunately, if we're going to make a difference, if we're actually going to save the planet, if that's the nature of the game, then no politician will do anything dramatic enough to make a difference, because nobody will vote for them if they do. Like, for instance, holidays. More than half of British holidaymakers, it says, believe that international travel harms the environment. Okay? No one is prepared to change their holiday plans as a consequence, though. Oh, Helen has her hand up.
I have.
1/3 of consumers believe that cheap flights are a major cause of global warming, researchers for this company says, but 93% have never changed their holiday destination over environmental concerns. So it's like everything else. We know what the problem is, we know how to solve it, but we can't be bothered. We're waiting for somebody else to do that. We all want a giant flat-screen television on the wall, which is going to suck up 6 times more energy than the big boxy type, but we don't care because we want one, and we all want you know, iPods and mobile phones and all these other things that require charging all the time, and none of which we actually really need, but we want one, and that's the nature of the problem. We know how to fix it, but we don't want to. How did you change your holiday plans?
I decided not to get on planes. So I didn't renew my passport, and that just made it easy to not go abroad on holidays and to take holidays here by train or... Yeah, by train.
Well, you can go abroad by train now.
Yeah, so somebody told me last week, which I'd forgotten, which I thought was
They've
really
been keeping
exciting.
it very quiet.
Yeah.
But apparently you can now go abroad by train.
You can drive all the way to Iran, can't you? I mean, I read that somewhere. I don't know. I didn't quite get that.
Yeah. Well, it's always sunny there.
I know.
It's the ideal holiday destination.
And it was such a relief not knowing that I'm not going to go to airports and check in and...
Well, there's nothing fun about that. No, you're absolutely right there.
It's not fun, no. And normally when you do go abroad, it's quite stressful, isn't it?
Yes, the entirety of your holidays is in fact stressful. It's the getting to the airport and the parking or going by train or whatever it is, and dragging your suitcase behind you.
Yeah.
And is it too heavy? Am I going to have to pay extra? And then going through the whole security nightmare.
Yeah.
And then, will I like the hotel room? Is it going to be a nightmare? Have they built the hotel yet? And all that. And yeah, holidays are very stressful.
If you holiday in England, even if you're in Scotland, you can still drive or get the train, and, 5 or 6 hours away, you'd be home.
If it's dreadful, you can always leave.
Yeah.
Without getting on another plane.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's a good point. However, it does mean that you'll always be holidaying here.
Great.
It's not great.
Why not?
Well, the reason that I'm not very interested in holidaying in this country is that it costs the same as going somewhere nice.
But you can go somewhere nice here.
Where?
South Wales.
Oh, come on, they attack people in ambulances in South Wales.
All right, Cornwall.
Right. Well, they burn outsiders' homes to the ground and then apologise afterwards. Very polite.
Oh, fabulous.
Oh, close, but no cigar.
Be polite!
It was just a millimetre off the correct one. And you're never going to get the weather. I mean, imagine if you went on your 2-week break, the only break that you were going to have this year, and you positioned yourself at some point during last summer and went to somewhere, be stuck there with your face pressed to your caravan window, the rain sleeting down the outside of it, dripping through the roof. Be a nightmare.
Well, do you remember all those people who went to Spain I think it was this year, and they all got rained out, didn't they? And we were in the sunshine here. I think it was very early on in the year, wasn't it? And it was tipping it down in Spain.
Good.
So it's not guaranteed.
Well, no, I suppose not.
See, I think travelling is, I know it's the cliche, but, they say, like, getting there is half the fun.
No, if getting there was half the fun, why even leave the house?
But, for me, getting there is all of the fun.
Well, how do you travel? By skateboard? By roller coaster? How are you getting there?
By boat. My ideal holiday would actually be just travelling, like moving constantly.
This bloke's a nutter.
Yeah, driving or on a train or on a
cruise?
A ship. No, not a cruise, because you're expected to socialise with people, aren't you?
No,
Like
I would never leave my cabin. I'd have all meals delivered, and I would just staple myself to the balcony and just look out to the horizon.
I was going to do one of those cargo ship cruises.
The what?
You can book a cabin on actual merchant ships working cargo vessels, like container vessels.
Really?
Yeah, they have a lot of them have a certain number of cabins that you can book.
Do you have to dress for dinner?
No, you you eat with the rest of the crew.
That sounds awful.
But you get your own, and it's like equivalent a lot of the time, the cabin, to like a luxury suite on a cruise ship.
Really?
Because there's only like 2 or 4 on the ship. And you can do pretty much whatever there's nothing to do.
Oh, no casino or disco?
No cinema, no,
Skittles?
dancing girls or anything like that. So you just have to make your own entertainment for 5 or 10 days.
I do actually like the thought of going to America, for instance, on the boat, principally because you'd be deeply, deeply relaxed, assuming you don't sink, before you got there, as opposed to stressed out of your mind and jet-lagged to death. Literally, in some cases.
Because those long-haul flights, whenever anybody, a friend of mine or anybody from work has gone on a 9 to 10 hour flight, they've always come back really, really ill.
Yeah, absolutely. You're breathing other people's exhalations.
Yeah.
And it can't be too long before it's not you wouldn't be considered a nutter to get on board with your own... I guess you wouldn't be able to take your own oxygen because it might explode, right? But face masks, I mean, you see those people in Tokyo wandering around with face masks.
You couldn't take them.
Huh?
You wouldn't be allowed to take them in case...
Well, you wouldn't be able to walk through passport control with a face mask on. But you could apply it once you're on board, surely. There used to be... Every cyclist for a summer, a couple of summers ago, had one of those face masks on. Do you remember that? Every cyclist you saw had a face mask on. That seemed to be the fashion for a while. And then no one does now. I can't remember the last time I saw a cyclist with a face mask.
Yeah.
So what happened with that?
They just don't bother, do they?
Well, I think it was you couldn't breathe through them, making it difficult to cycle fast.
Yeah.
People actually ran out of oxygen.
Dropping like flies.
Yeah, so all the people that
So
wore
effective.
them, they're all dead now. And hence the lack of them now.
I did see a bus driver with one of those Japanese masks on. I couldn't believe it.
A bus driver?
Yeah.
Did he have his window open?
Don't know. I can't remember why.
Well, I can't see any reason to wear it otherwise.
Well, he wanted to protect himself from his passengers.
Oh, yeah.
What with their sneezing and all.
Yeah.
And I wanted to discuss that. I still have to tell you about how to sneeze.
What should I have done?
Well, I'll tell you. Write that down and remind me, all right?
Okay.
Leatherhead. Hello, Pip.
Hello, I don't know how you guys are talking about holidays. It's like Armageddon out here.
Is it?
It's raining so badly. It's really, really frightening, actually. A car just went past and completely covered me.
Oh.
Really, really frightening driving home, actually. Not very nice.
Huh. Well, my car leaks, so that's great.
yeah, exactly. At least I've got the sunroof shut. I've just come home from work and you made me laugh out loud, which is quite hard after 10
Well, you've got to have a laugh.
Oh, God. Now, you saying about your dog waking you up every morning.
Yes.
The first thing I think of every morning is, has my cat brought a mouse in, dead, and left it on the kitchen floor?
Well, that's just... It's a present for you.
I know, yeah, I've had all that. It's not very nice, though.
Well, the cat doesn't know that. It thinks it's about the most valuable thing it can get. It's gone out
I know.
and got that for you.
It's not a very nice way to start the morning,
Well,
then,
that's true, yeah.
And the other morning, on Friday, he was coming in the cat flap with one in his mouth. When I screamed, and he dropped it and then ran out, and it was alive.
Yeah, they do that.
Squirming and everything, and I was screaming at the kids that, it's pathetic. It's a pathetic, girly thing. So, I shall think of you when I wake up thinking of the mouse and think, well, at least I haven't got a dog barking.
Well, they do, yes, they do, not quite sufficiently kill them, perhaps because they want them to be fresh for you.
Oh,
So they want to give you the opportunity to kill it yourself.
I did actually have to kill one the other morning.
Right.
Because he was playing with one in the garden, and it was it clearly couldn't walk. So I had to said lots of prayers, and I sort of very gently trod on it.
Oh,
Well, how else would you have killed it?
Well,
how would you have killed it?
With kindness.
I did, I said prayers. And as I was shouting at the cat at the same time.
I would have maybe...
Thank you for cheering me up on my way home from work after a very long day with pouring rain and lightning.
Thanks a lot, Pip.
Thanks, Nick.
Cheers,
Bye.
ta-ra. Yeah, you're not going to be needing that that sunroof for a good long while, like ever, I would think. It's 9:45.
Listening, dear, you can talk to me.
Seriously, Alex, what kind of a holiday would it be if the getting there was the best part of it? I mean, where are you taking your holidays? Afghanistan.
Have you been watching? No, you won't have. Long Way Down.
What's that?
It's Ewan McGregor.
Sounds disgusting.
And Ewan McGregor and his mate.
Oh,
on motorbikes.
No,
I know. Riding from John O'Groats to South Africa.
No, the only time I want to watch Ewan McGregor is when what's his name?
McGregor.
Ewan McGregor is when he's saying, "Be mindful of your thoughts, young Padawan learner."
Did you not like him in Moulin Rouge?
Moulin Rouge is a great film. I think something a bit reptilian about him. Something a bit slimy. He makes me uncomfortable. I thought he was great in the heroin film. What was that called?
Trainspotting.
Yeah. And they must have given him a wash for Star Wars. But there's other than that, he's a bit reptilian, I think is the right word.
There was a great bit in this series where they visited, they went through Tunisia, and they visited the original Star Wars set for part of the film.
Right.
And he was walking around, and all these tourists were there, and not one person asked for his autograph or recognised him, and you just saw he was shattered. He was so visibly saddened by the fact that no one had recognised him.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, he was in the ones that few people, well, relatively few people saw. I mean, when they did Tunisia, that was the first one that they made, right? Mm-hmm. And if one of the two robots had been walking about, they'd have been mobbed.
But they had posters up of the newer films with his face on them, and still nobody recognised him.
Well, they wouldn't be expecting him. I mean, he was dressed like an oik, presumably, because he just got off his bike, right? Covered in dust from head to toe. He looked like a sandstorm, I would imagine. But here's imagine yourself on a plane. That sounds like a Beatles song.
Ooh, nice legs.
Huh?
Imagine myself on a plane?
Yeah.
Oh, I'd rather not.
You can't, you've got no passport. Anyway.
No.
Don't worry.
You should have a passport.
For what reason?
Well, it might be maybe an emergency. Suppose we all have to leave.
Well,
it
could happen, I suppose.
Yeah, well, exactly. Yeah, we all might have to leave in an emergency, and you'll be there like
on my own.
Applying. Well, that'll be 6 weeks. By which time,
I'll be on the cruise with you.
No, you won't.
I'll be in your cabin with you.
Yeah, you'll be in my luggage. I'll take you on as hand baggage.
Thanks.
Imagine you're sitting on a plane, and on the tarmac in the Paris airport, and you look out the window, and there's a 2-foot hole in the plane's wing. What would you do?
Get off it.
How would you feel if they repaired the wing while you were watching them do it with sticky tape? This actually happened. EasyJet passengers watched as a 2-foot hole on the plane's wing was stuck together with tape minutes before the plane was cleared to take off. A former engineer was on board the Bristol-bound plane on the 8th of November as it sat on the Paris runway. He said, "It looked like a tin which had been opened by a can opener, like the metal at the end of the wing was peeled back." Spokesman for EasyJet said, "Standard maintenance procedures were followed, and in no way did this affect the operation of the flight." Oh, well, that's all right, then. I would have been freaking out. I would have raised a finger of complaint, I think.
I know what it's like, though, in that situation, because maybe it's just a British thing. You don't feel like making a fuss.
Well, no, you'd rather die.
Sorry.
Yes.
Yeah. You would, you think?
You would rather
weigh
die.
It up. You'd rather die than be embarrassed.
Yes, exactly right. Because it's not any small thing to get off a plane once you're sitting on the tarmac, because they'd have to get you off, they'd have to go put the sucking machine that sucks people out of the plane, you know, that great tube.
The big Hoover.
Yeah, and then they'd have to get your bags off. So you'd be making a right kerfuffle. You'd have to explain yourself to no end of people. And, as a British person, you would rather die than go through that experience. It's true.
I got on a flight once, and as the engine started up, big plume of black smoke came out of the side that I was sitting on, and it kept coming out, and I thought, there's no one else noticed this. No one else. I'm looking out the window, and there's smoke just come billowing out. And the plane's trundling along, taxiing, and I thought, should I point it out to a member of staff? And I just thought, exactly like you said, no, I think I'd rather die than be wrong.
And if you do die, and then it's almost as though, well, now they're sorry.
Yeah, I was right. That'll show them.
Yeah, exactly. That will show them. Precisely right. Yeah. Well, I've under the flight path, as indeed is everyone who lives in London, and every now and again you'll hear a plane go over that sounds like it's dying. Like, most are quite healthy. You know, that banshee wail of the jet engines. But every now and again, one sounds as though it's limping along. It's barely going to make it. The engines are revving there at what seemed to be like a level that would shake the plane apart, and you think, is it actually going to make it? I mean, it could glide down from where it goes over us, but on its own steam, you think that this is a dead plane. This is an X-plane. And presumably, this same noise is heard inside the cabin. So everyone on it must be thinking that they're not going to arrive alive.
That they're doomed, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Sneezing.
Yeah.
Right, you sneezed a little while ago.
There's another one, I think, on its way. But,
really?
Go on.
I bet there isn't. I bet we can stop it by just talking about it.
Okay.
Because when you think about sneezing, then you can't do it.
What should I have done?
Well, apparently the way to stop sneezing, and I heard this,
hold your nose like that.
No, is keep your eyes open. Apparently you can't sneeze while your eyes are open. I think it's a physiological response in order to stop your eyeballs popping out of your head when you sneeze.
Yeah, is that a myth?
I don't know.
That they would.
But when I've tried to do that, it has stopped the sneezing. Now, I don't know whether that is because you can't sneeze with your eyes open, or you're just concentrating on something else, which takes your mind off the fact that you need to sneeze. But there's nothing... I was going to say there's nothing worse. Well, there's many things worse. The Holocaust, for instance, or all manner of things. Darfur, that's worse than thinking you're going to sneeze and then not doing it. Because there's something orgiastically fantastic about a sneeze, am I right?
So why would you want to stop it then? Maybe your eyes wide open.
If you're in a crowded tube train, for instance, you'd be very unpopular if you started sneezing your face off.
Yeah, people are always sneezing their faces off.
Yeah, well, they shouldn't.
I know they shouldn't. It drives me mad, but people do.
They sneeze in their hands, and then they go and grab the thing and make sticky the thing that you're going to hold after they get off.
Ooh.
Those with a cold should sneeze into the crook of their elbow and not their hands, a virus expert claimed yesterday. So you can stick your face in your elbow. You can't stick your elbow in your ear, but you can stick your face in your elbow. Just trying it. Try it with your other elbow. No, that doesn't work either. Traditional advice to cover the mouth and nose actually encourages the spread of diseases, says Professor John, because viruses are easily spread through touch. Correct. He claims that by sneezing and coughing into the crook of the elbow or the sleeve, those with colds can minimise the spread of germs. And we're all about to die because we've got bird flu or some such thing. Does that call sneezing, or do you just die straight away?
I don't know what the symptoms are.
This bloke, Professor John, said that basic hygiene measures had been forgotten in the fight against everyday infections, with sufferers increasingly looking to science to cure their ills. That's right. I've got a cold, buy dose, they say, and they want a pill in order to cure themselves. But the best way of curing is not to get it in the first place, right? I mean, I know that's not curing, but it's prevention. And every time I travel on the tube, and this will be the case from now until next summer, I feel like I'm going to get a cold because everyone's coughing and sneezing, and nobody seems to... I mean, there's some people just don't even put their hand up. The best way of doing it is not even in your elbow, because it could go above and beyond, is to actually pull your T-shirt out, or whatever it is you're wearing, and sneeze into your clothes.
Oh, right.
Doesn't that sound...
Sounds very attractive.
Well, He said the new etiquette should be to cough and sneeze into your elbow. It breaks the chain of transmission, and you must wash your hands regularly. That's the other thing. Sneeze into yourself and wash your hands regularly. A lot. A lot of hot water and soap, he says. A quick squirt of cold water will not do. You have to, as you're washing your hand, sing happy birthday to yourself twice. At that point, your hands should be clean. And then you're clean. Is that clear?
Great presenters. It's really, really good station. London-led.
The controversial issues.
This is LBC 97.3.
Come on, we're running late!
So what topics have we discussed so far, then?
Griff Rhys-Jones and Ben Nevis.
Oh, yeah. Ben Nevis tried to climb to the top of Griff Rhys-Jones.
And didn't make it.
And then lied about having reached his summit, yeah.
Opera.
Opera? Yeah, no one actually likes opera. That's absolutely true, yeah.
Chock-a-mocha.
Huh?
You spoke about that at some point. Canapes.
Chock-a-mocha?
Chock-a-mocha.
Is that like Hugga-Mugga?
Yeah.
I could go for a couple of pints of Hugga-Mugga myself right now.
Well, that'd be lovely, wouldn't it? BBC Two, always 10 minutes late.
Yeah. Why?
I don't know.
Why are they always 10 minutes late?
Kenny Everett was sad.
Well, that's what Michael Parkinson said. Yeah, I met Kenny Everett a couple of times, and he seemed... Well, it actually was off his face one time I met him. He seemed extremely happy then. But he didn't seem like an unhappy person, but it's tears of a clown, I suppose, isn't it? Yeah, and if... I was thinking about this the other day. If your act is to be wacky, then you get to a certain age, and I'm sure that you don't really want to be wacky anymore. Anything else? No? Oh, good. A French chef is claiming a record for the world's largest barbecue after spit roasting a camel. Mustafa Camel, he thought. It took 15 hours in Morocco, in Rabat. He was recreating a centuries-old tradition. It began when Moroccan king used to offer roast camel to his people. He used 3 tons of wood and 15 litres of oil to cook the meat, which 500 diners feasted upon. Camel. So yummy. Tasted a bit like chicken.